Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, January 23rd, 2022. This is your award-winning Keep My Nation Media Assassination episode 1419.
This is No Agenda.
Sniffing the candles and broadcasting live from the heart of the Texas Hill Country here in FEMA Region number 6. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where everybody's happy, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Okay. Somehow I doubt that.
Oh, yeah, no, they're all happy.
Yeah, everybody in San Francisco. Well, everybody has to be happy. War is over. We're breaking out. It's all done. This is it. The whole world is opening up. We're next.
Good.
Yeah, it's about time. You know, the UK still seems on track. I guess they could still do something to stop it before Thursday, but it seems like it's really on track. Just everything drops. Everything's gone. It's crazy. Ireland, now the same thing. And Czech Republic. But in Belgium this morning, massive, or the whole day, I guess, massive protests, which have turned violent. This is a weird world.
I had a clip of this. You know, the funny thing about these protests, if you listen to listen to our news, I guess I didn't get it. Oh, well, maybe. If you listen to NPR, we have protests too, but our kids aren't doing what they're doing in Belgium. They're our kids. I got a frog.
I hear it. It's
our kids are
throat.
protesting that they're not doing enough. They're not making us mask up enough.
No.
They're not making us take the shots. That's what our kids are protesting.
No, I thought that they just wanted more tests and no shots.
Well, they want everything. But the kids don't think the adults are harsh enough.
Oh. Do you have a clip of this? Because I'd like to hear that.
I don't know if I have an exact clip of that, but believe me, I heard it. But try this one, COVID shot kids' choice.
Okay.
A California senator is proposing to allow children 12 and over to get vaccinated without their parents' consent. Some parents say that this is the government overriding parents' authority.
Senator Scott Wiener introduced a bill to allow teens ages 12 to 17 to receive the COVID-19 vaccine without parental consent.
This will empower our youth. We know that currently in California, nearly 1 million 12 to 17-year-olds are not vaccinated for COVID-19.
Senate Bill 866, also known as the Teens Choose Vaccines Act, was introduced on Thursday. If passed, it would allow minors 12 and older to receive a dose without their parents' permission, as long as the vaccine is approved by the FDA.
On average, COVID is less likely to be serious, create serious illness for teenagers. Teens do get sick.
So give them a shot.
This is 12 and over?
Yeah.
So at 12 years old, you can make a life-changing decision like that. This is fantastic.
In the hospital, teens on ventilators, and tragically, teens who die.
According to the state statistics, the 0 to 17 age group accounts for 0.1% of COVID deaths. Wiener argues this bill builds on existing law
Stop there.
0.1% of the COVID deaths. What is that? 800?
So 0.1%, not that your likelihood of dying is 0.1. It accounts for 0.1 of the total deaths.
Yeah, deaths.
Which I think is 0.1 to begin with. So something like
8,000. 8,000. 0.1% of the 800,000 will be 8,000? Seems like a lot.
0.1 of the 8,000, let's see, 10% would be...
we are possibly the worst people at math.
No.
Yes, we are. We always get this wrong.
Well, you have to have a pad and paper to do it right.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing it here on the calculator, and I think it's 8,000.
I'm sure there was a number of deaths.
It was 0.1 or 0.01? 0.1.
0.1.
Yeah.
Of the total deaths were under this age. But it's beside the point. You're not... Well, let the thing play on, and it'll have a little more details. But this is the kind of nuttiness that we have, especially from a guy like this guy. This is Scott Wiener. He's out of the Bay Area. And I'm on his mailing list, so I get to see his stuff. And it's like, oh, brother, you guys are
a joy.
Lunatic.
What a joy.
He's an openly gay male, doesn't care about kids, but he's going to, think this is a great idea because it gets the numbers up. And, okay.
Let's finish it off.
The 17 age group accounts for 0.1% of COVID deaths. Weiner argues this bill builds on existing law that already allows kids 12 and older to consent to receiving the hepatitis B vaccine, birth control, and abortions.
I just dispute that number he's throwing out there because the mainstream number is more like 800. So maybe he
got a zero off.
I think he did.
But then they can do all kinds of. They want the 12-year-olds to be able to determine abortion.
Of course, transgender medication.
They're trying to get the parents out of the loop.
Yes.
And I have a second series of clips, one more clip after this one. But there's I think a part 2 of this.
Yeah, there is.
The San Mateo senator received a mix of responses on Twitter.
The single biggest reason is most children don't make decisions that adults would make. So informed consent is the biggest single issue that I see. And children don't have the capacity to make that.
So I just think it's overreach. It's unnecessary. Parents can make informed decisions for their children. We know their background, their history, their risk profile, etc. We care more about our kids than the state does. I don't care what they say. They're not as invested in our children as we are.
Another parent tells NTD he thinks legislation that chips away at the ability of a parent would be a huge mistake. There should be a very high standard for overriding a parent or lawful guardian's authority, and only under the imminent or persistent and grave threat to the child's well-being. He says there are already established public school vaccination constructs, child protective services, and the courts to deal with those situations. So there is no need to give minors authority over these decisions.
This is really interesting that you bring this up and that this is truly a report that is reporting on just how great all this is, I think. Did you see this clip that was going around of the OG Joy Reid, Melissa Harris Perry? You remember her? She was on MSNBC before Joy Reid, and she got fired in I think 2016 or something. So for some reason, this clip resurfaces, and everyone's this is what's so hard about doing our show. So everyone's like, "Oh, look at this! Look at this! They want your children! They want your." And look at this, like, but this has got to be old. And so finally traced it down. So this is a clip, I think, from 2013. This is 9 years old. It's really short. But this, at the same moment that you have this on your local news, this is going viral, again after 9 years.
We have never invested as much in public education as we should have because we've always had kind of a private notion of children. Your kid is yours and totally your responsibility. We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. Once it's everybody's responsibility and not just the households, then we start making better investments.
All they needed was a vaccine.
But we had that clip on our show. Hello.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's my point.
That's what you picked up immediately. Somebody says, hey, look at this. It's the old clip. We get too many old clips.
No, but that's my point, is this was going, and I didn't just get it once. You got it.
No, this has been going on for the entire time of our show and before. They're just trying to arrest the kids. They think we're Sparta. Let's grab the kids at birth, throw them in a camp, turn them into soldiers. Here's the example that follows up the clips I just played, where they, let's give the kids some autonomy. Let's play this one. This is just happened. This is the ivermectin story out of New Hampshire.
Okay.
A custody battle is taking place in New Hampshire that's getting a lot of attention. In what may be a first-of-its-kind case, a father could lose his son for giving him ivermectin, a prescription drug used by some to treat COVID-19. NTD's Miguel Moreno reports.
Former New Hampshire lawmaker J.R. Hole says that he gave his family ivermectin because they had COVID-19. That was in November. According to Hole, they quickly recovered from the disease with no lasting side effects. But he says that in December, child protection workers and police officers were at his door ready to take his 2 kids who weren't home at the time.
So they were concerned that I used a particular medication that's available online internationally, which is ivermectin, and I used it for myself. Our whole family used it to treat COVID, and they didn't like that. It's a very politicized drug or politicized medication, and they thought it was the root cause for all of the concerns relative to my son's visit to the emergency room.
He says he had taken his son to the emergency room because the boy took too many Tylenol pills. According to Hull, that was 7 to 10 days after his son took his final dose of ivermectin. So in his view, the boy's symptoms were unrelated to the anti-parasitic drug. The state initially sought Hull's son and daughter, but Hull says that now only custody of his son is at risk.
And how did the state find out that you gave your son ivermectin?
Our nurse turned us into the state. There's the thing is there's what's going to develop out of this is an incredible distrust of the medical community, because if you can't have a conversation with your doctor, or in this case with the nurse, about how you're treating your family, because there's a threat that they're going to turn you into the state, people aren't going to share pertinent information, and that's going to lead to massive misdiagnosis of what the issue is. We were being open and honest with what was going on, trying to make sure our son was as healthy as possible.
Wow. How did the kid wind up taking 7 or 8 Tylenol?
Who knows? That's not explained.
That doesn't help the story. But the nurse narking on the family, that's it's got to be some kind of, well, it is a breach of trust.
Yeah, I think she should have been fired on the spot. But no, they're not going to do that. She did everyone a favor. There's this plague of ivermectin.
Yeah. No. Australia, now doctors can get 6 months prison if they prescribe ivermectin. I mean, it's so sad, but it's also funny.
It's hilarious.
So we have, let's see. So, obviously they're still trying to keep this going. At least some of the factions are doing this. This is, here's NPR doing their bit for the team.
Just 28% of children ages 5 to 11 years old have gotten the first dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. NPR's Anya Kamenetz reports a new free online course is trying to change that.
The Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health is offering a 2-hour course on the platform Coursera to prepare educators and community members to talk to parents who have doubts about the vaccines. The course creators say, start by listening with empathy. Then tailor your responses to address the specific concerns that people express. Try to debunk misinformation and offer fact-checking from trusted sources without putting people down or mocking them. And if someone states a false belief, validate their feelings by acknowledging that it's hard to make our way through the disinformation landscape. Then pivot to the truth.
Pivot to the truth, baby. So it's really, I'm going to write that down. Pivot to the truth.
I was gonna,
What?
Show title.
Yeah, maybe. Pivot to the truth. So, yeah, let's pivot to the truth then. Because people are starting to see stuff that is making them think. And it's really these local reports, like the one you just played, made us think in a different way. This is from Minnesota on the local ABC affiliate.
The Center for COVID Control tonight facing this fraud lawsuit filed by Minnesota's Attorney General.
These entities collected samples from Minnesotans for COVID-19 testing, but either failed to deliver test results or delivered test results that were false or inaccurate.
They would either not process the test in time so that it couldn't get released in time, or they would have lost the actual result to the test, or they would have never even processed the test.
Michael Pino says while he worked here from September until late December, so many tests were coming in for processing that they were stored in these garbage bags.
They came in these trash bags, and we counted them on the floor of an office building.
So this, and people see this. This is the local news. This is what people will actually watch. Like, hold on a second, what's going on? It's also happening in Illinois.
The Illinois Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, released a statement last night saying in part that although the company voluntarily suspended operations, my office contacted company officials to demand that the Center for COVID Control immediately stop engaging in any fraudulent or deceptive conduct, particularly with respect to the delivery of testing results or billing. The Illinois Attorney General's office says they have made that decision after receiving numerous complaints ranging from results gone missing to results that are inaccurate. NBC5 Response talked to a man who says he went to one of their locations in December with his wife and daughter, but after seeing how chaotic it was inside, he decided to leave without giving a sample.
And about 5 hours later, all three of us got emails saying that our samples had been collected and our tests had come back negative.
It's like, I don't know.
Leaving a sample.
I don't know what Bill Gates is thinking, but he better hurry up with whatever magical test-to-stay device he has.
Well, they're going to have to deal with we had a similar news story here. I didn't clip it because it was really a promotion. Mm-hmm. This company, I think it's called Summer Bio. They have created an assembly line process. It's almost like a FMC kind of, if you look at these factories that make cookies and different kinds of ice cream treats. There's a huge assembly line of dripping the stuff on here, and it goes to the next thing.
Oh, it's a food processor.
Yeah, it's a food processor.
Yeah.
It's only they're processing these tests, and so they've created this little mini robot-like system that can process 100,000 tests a day. And so they've been flying these tests in from all over, far away from, like Monterey and other places like that. And they run them through here, and they're at capacities 100,000. They think they can franchise the operation, create these other facilities that can do this. So you don't have what you just showed is really going on, which is just a bunch of fraud.
Yeah. Bunch of throwing it in garbage bags, not even processing it. And people get results no matter what. Oh, that's all good. Just mark that off, Bill. Yeah. What do you call them? The government health people, not that this is government corporations, but it's the same problem.
The rat poop
inspectors. Yes, exactly. And I'm sure that these are people who are under stress and no one wants to work, and they're like, oh well, no one's showing up.
To do that? No. They want to go out in front of an audience with a microphone because something they've never gotten to do in their entire life with the MPH that they received, the Masters of Public Health, which is not a doctor's degree by any means. And so they can tell people what to do and boss them around, which is what they've always wanted to do, it looks like.
So in true American fashion, when people are starting to look around, you get some of these local reports. We got to do something. We got to do something on a grand scale to get people on edge just a little bit. What can we do? Here's the meeting we would have. Remember we all consulted on that movie with Dustin Hoffman? Remember that one? Because they all did.
Outbreak.
They all did. Yes, Outbreak. Outbreak. What happened in Outbreak? It was a monkey.
State police and the Pennsylvania Game Commission spent Friday night searching for 4 monkeys in the wooded area along Route 54 off Interstate 80, hours after the animals escaped from their transport truck that collided with a dump truck. Troopers tell us the transport truck was carrying 100 monkeys from Africa, taking them to a lab in Missouri. Eyewitness News confirmed 3 out of the 4 monkeys were found and put down. Michelle Fallon spoke to us at the scene late Friday night. She told us she was driving behind the truck just before the crash happened and thought it was crates of cats that had toppled.
They had this green cloth over, so I peel it back and I go to stick my finger in there to try to pet it, and it pops its head up, and I'm like, oh, it's a monkey. So I was like, I'm shocked. So I walked over to the guy, and I'm like, they're not cats, they're monkeys. He goes, they're what? I'm like, they're monkeys.
Even though the search was suspended Saturday, interest in the missing monkey continues.
Last night I was just scrolling through my phone, and I saw people posting about it, and thought it was pretty weird. My mom came into my room and asked me about it, asked me to help go.
I mean, when you listen to this report, okay, and this is almost over, this sounds so much like the fake news would be in a movie about a monkey on its way to a lab in Missouri. There's a lady who touched the monkey. She put her hand into the box thinking it was cats. And then you get this stoner dude who's like, yeah, man, that was pretty weird. There's like a monkey out on the loose, man.
And there's no rationale for these public health measures, so go and live your life.
Oops, sorry.
Monkey continues.
Last night I was just scrolling through my phone and I saw people posting about it and thought it was pretty weird. Then my mom came into my room and asked me about it, asked me to help go look for the monkeys.
TJ Stackley works at a fast food restaurant close to the crash. He says this area is usually quiet and he still can't believe what happened.
Everyone's talking about it pretty much. It's talk of the town now.
We checked in with Michelle Fallon Saturday morning.
What?
Hey, son. What, Mom?
Hey, Mom.
Come on, get up. Put on some clothes on. We're going to go look for the monkey.
That's exactly right. This is a movie script. All right, so we want
I have to what? Look for what monkey?
We want to put a package together that we can have, kind of as a local report, and we'll get a stoner dude who's like, "Hey, man, everyone's like, it's the talk of the town. It's the monkey. We're going looking for this monkey. Yeah, hey, there's a lady who touched the monkey."
Talk of the town now.
We checked in with Michelle Fallon Saturday morning. She tells us the CDC contacted her and told her to look out for any cold-like symptoms within the next 31 days. According to a letter
She's patient zero!
sent to her, the surviving monkeys will be quarantined and monitored for infectious diseases before their release.
Now, Fallon spoke to me this morning, and she said, fortunately, she's not experiencing any symptoms. However, she was told if she is, then she has to reach out to the state health department. Now, State Trooper hasn't provided an update on the search for the last monkey.
Now, color me crazy, but this lady came in contact with a monkey from Africa on its way to the lab, and they just let her go home. They need to put a bag over this lady's head, put her in quarantine right away.
Let me get this straight. So she's in a car, and there's a dump truck.
Not a dump truck.
What is it, a pickup or something with a cage in the
a truck
back?
with cages, yeah. And I think it was an accident. It was in a two-car collision.
So the truck with the cages plows into the dump truck, or the dump truck hits this.
We don't know which one. Yeah.
It doesn't. It seems more likely you'd hit the dump truck because they don't go that fast. And
I don't know about dump truck. I don't know about the dump truck.
He
was
said
not
dump truck. He specifically
said dump truck.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right at the beginning of the report. It's the first thing I noticed because I'm always amused by the idea of something hitting a dump truck. It's not a good idea.
Wait, hold on a second. I want to hear this at the beginning.
State police and the Pennsylvania Game Commission spent Friday night searching for 4 monkeys in the wooded area along Route 54 off Interstate 80, hours after the animals escaped from their transport truck that collided with a dump truck.
Oh, collided with a dump truck. The transport truck collided with a dump truck.
It hit the dump truck.
Okay, got it.
Always comedic. Now,
good point. Good point. This is scripted.
Put yourself in the woman's shoes. She sees a truck hit a dump truck, and she for some dumb reason, instead of going around this unfortunate wreck, she stops, gets out, and goes and sticks her hand into a cage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Was that something anyone that you know would do?
Yes. That would be that dude's mom in the clip. That's the one who did that. And then she came back to her son and said, "Hey, man, I touched the monkey. Let's go look for it." That's how you tie it all together.
This story falls apart. It stinks.
Well, this is the story. It's gotten quite a lot of attention. The monkeys. And there's just one on the loose, John. Just one. One lone monkey from Africa on his way to a lab in Missouri. Do we have any BSL level biosecurity?
Not that I know of, but it wouldn't surprise me if there weren't.
Let me see. Biosecurity lab in Missouri. I'm trying to think if there's one there.
Could be a black lab.
Yeah, man.
You have a white lab.
No, it's an Akbash.
No, it's a joke.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. US BSL lab. Well, maybe one of the trolls can find it. But adding a monkey to it just makes it a good story. I like it.
Yeah, you always want monkeys.
So now we have Fauci also trying to do his bit to prolong everything. And he does something fantastic in this minute-long clip where he somehow is able to tell us that the next danger that we have to be on the lookout for is what exactly just happened now with Omicron.
What is your best guess about what the next 6 months will look like with respect to COVID-19? Could you please lay out several possible different scenarios?
The best case scenario is that the description that Dr. Walensky just gave us about the diminution in cases in many regions of the country will continue to go down to a baseline level that is a level of what we call adequate control. Namely, it's not disruptive of what we do. And the combination of vaccinated and boosted people and the protection afforded by prior infection will have a level of protection in the community so that you won't get the situation where there's enough activity which leads to hospitalizations, deaths, and stressing the healthcare system. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is something we have to be prepared for. And that is we do get down to a level that we would say would be adequate control, but we're faced with another surprise with a variant that's so different that it eludes the accumulation of the immune protection that we've gotten from vaccinations and from prior infections.
Isn't that exactly what Omicron was? It's like it went around vaccinations, people who had even been sick with Delta.
But except Omicron hasn't been hospitalizing people enough.
No, no. This is so over. And you notice now they're starting to slip in the, if you have had COVID and you have natural immunity, then you're kind of vaccinated. Under the technical term.
Thank you for the professional sports for starting that trend.
Yeah. Did you see the NFL?
I want to play this. This is a clip that is a good example of everything you're talking about, which is what's going on in Chicago, where it's peaking. But, I don't know. We should, still be super cautious. This is Omicron peaking, but...
The Omicron surge of coronavirus infections appears to have started to peak nationally, though in some specific places, they're still spiking. And there are still some 160,000 people hospitalized for COVID around the country. But in Chicago, cases are on their way back down. Although, as Araceli Gomez-Aldana of member station WBEZ reports, there's still a long way to go before mask mandates are lifted.
Chicago Public Health Commissioner Allison Arwady says new cases, test positivity, and hospitalizations mean Chicago remains in very high COVID transmission risk. At the same time, she says those numbers are decreasing, which makes for tricky messaging.
And the last thing that I want to do is give a false sense of security. We have reached that peak of Omicron, but the peak of Omicron just means that it's not getting worse.
Arwady remains concerned about the strain on the city's hospitals.
Wow.
Across the city, some 200 people are still being hospitalized with COVID daily. Chicago is averaging more than 2,800 cases per day, down about half from last week.
That's your beef right there. How about that's good news, lady? Oh, no, that just means...
never make it good news. Always bad news.
Oh, no.
By the way, my daughter, I told you about, she went on this... to a cabin with a bunch of people, and they all got
the Rona.
Except her and her boyfriend, who had it recently, Omicron.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out one of them, I won't, mention the name, but one of them ended up in the hospital.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Young?
And that was the one that was double vaccinated and double boosted.
Oh, no. Is that other one okay?
I guess, yeah.
Well, it's still in the hospital?
I don't know. Okay. It was just amusing that the most.
Amusing to a degree.
It's not amusing.
A little somber
in a very morbid sense.
Very dark. Very dark.
It is very dark.
It seems clear that people are starting to just get what we want to get out. I don't think people are looking at QR codes as much. In the U.S. at least. In Europe, there's still a lot happening. Canada. Here's another one of these things. It's just totally baffling. Why are you going to do this now that things are really starting to get, to a place where we don't, I should answer my own question, because they want to kill everything and everybody in the world. Listen to this insanity.
There are now new border crossing requirements for Canadian truck drivers who are not fully vaccinated. As of Saturday, they will need to produce PCR test results collected within 72 hours of arriving at the Canadian border and quarantine after arrival. Unvaccinated U.S. drivers will be denied entry.
We would have liked to seen an extension of time. And I know there's probably a lot of people out there that said COVID's been going on a long time. Our industry knew about this since November. But there was always the hope that it would go away.
Shelley Walker with the Women's Trucking Federation of Canada says she's heard from some drivers who returned from the U.S. before the policy took effect at midnight.
A few of them put in a 16-hour driving day, but they were not getting stranded down in the U.S. There is a shortage of PCR tests. And where do you go in a vehicle that's 70, 75 feet long?
While Canadian drivers will not be denied entry, those who do not follow the policy could face enforcement action or fines. Walker says truckers are planning a convoy to Ottawa in protest.
Our supply chain is already hurting, and we're just about to make it worse.
The Canadian Trucking Alliance has said between 10 to 15% of cross-border drivers could be lost during an already ongoing labor shortage.
It just makes no sense. I don't know what they're thinking. Why would you do this?
They're freaked out.
Well, they're freaked out by losing their power. That's the only thing you can think of. And meanwhile, I mean, this has got to be partially an attack on Biden for whatever political reasons. I'm not sure exactly what the strategy is yet. But the New York Times, this is the economics reporter, Peter Goodman. Here's what he has to say. Oh, and I should actually say.
Warning. Amy Goodman clip inbound.
Do you think billionaires and now trillionaires have prolonged the pandemic?
Oh, I don't think there's any question that they've...
What?
Who's a trillionaire? Name one.
This is why the trigger warning clip was played, and you heeded no warning. You went straight into trigger mode.
She said trillionaires.
I'm sure in Satoshis, there's some trillionaires around.
Do you think billionaires and now trillionaires have prolonged the pandemic?
Oh, I don't think there's any question that they've prolonged the pandemic. I mean, the fact that we have Omicron is a direct result of our unwillingness to challenge patents, to challenge the monopoly profits of companies like Pfizer and Moderna. We have effectively subsidized those profits through the tune of our own suffering. That has extended this pandemic.
Extended the pandemic. That's big words for the New York Times.
This fits right into these old clips I played a month ago of Amy and her early policy clips about if we have a cure and this is such a pandemic that's going to kill everybody, it's the most dangerous thing ever. Release the dogs.
Yes.
Cut off these patents and just make everybody make the vaccine if it's that great.
Yeah, I know. So we have an overall awareness. Former New York Times staff writer Barry Weiss, who has gone semi off the reservation, at least off the New York Times reservation. Did you see her on Bill Maher?
He died the Substack reservation.
Well, with Substack. I'm sure she's finally making real money doing Substack. And she's got an interesting cross-section of audience. She was on the Bill Maher show, which this last episode is one to watch because Bill Maher is just like, I'm not having this anymore. No more. He's just done with it. And that's exactly why he had Barry Weiss on. Listen to this.
I'm done.
With this question?
No, I'm done with COVID. I'm done. It's like I went so hard on COVID. I
remember.
Sprayed the Pringles cans that I bought at the grocery store, stripped my clothes off because I thought COVID would be on my clothes. Like, I did it all. I watched Tiger King. I got to the end of Spotify. Like, we all did it, right? And
no, we didn't all do it.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of us did.
You hear Bill Maher go, no, we didn't all do that. No, I had other things to do with my time.
Like, I did it all. I watched Tiger King. I got to the end of Spotify. Like, we all did it, right? And
no, we didn't all do it.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of us did do it. And then we were told, you get the vaccine. You get the vaccine and you get back to normal. And
by the way, stop it. Stop the clip. What kind of reverse virtue signaling was that?
Which part?
You made me listen to it twice, so now I'm irked about it. Oh, no, we didn't all do that. We didn't. She's doing a bit. she didn't do it either. She wasn't stripping her clothes off every day, but she was just trying to explain, and it was like a bit. This is like and he's a professional comic stepping all over her act.
That's a good point. It's because his emotions got in the way. I think he is so pissed off about the whole situation, and and it's weird because
that's fine. You can be pissed off, but that doesn't mean you have to step all over somebody's bit. This is a bit she's doing.
Yeah, but that's why he just lost
and
his.
He steps all over.
He lost his composure.
I didn't do that.
It's his emotions. He lost his composure. This is part of what's happening. Professionals are losing their shit.
Did do it, and then we were told you get the vaccine, and you get back to normal, and we haven't gotten back to normal, and it's ridiculous at this point. I know that so many of my liberal and progressive friends are with me on this, and they do not want to say it out loud because they are scared to be called anti-vax or to be called science denial or to be, smeared as a Trumper. I'm sorry. If you believe the science, you will look at the data that we did not have 2 years ago, and you will find out that cloth masks do not do anything. You will realize that you can show your vaccine passport at a restaurant and still be asymptomatic and carrying Omicron. And you will realize, most importantly, that this is going to be remembered by the younger generation as a catastrophic moral crime. The city of Flint, Michigan, which is 80%, I think, minority students, has just announced indefinite virtual schooling. In the past 2 years, we've seen among young girls a 51% increase in self-harm. People are killing themselves. They are anxious. They are depressed. They are lonely. That is why we need to end it, more than any inconvenience that it's been to the rest of us. I think it's a pandemic. It's like, at this point, it's a pandemic of bureaucracy. It's a pandemic of bureaucracy.
Yeah, you're right. And then she tried to launch her meme at the end of the bit there, the pandemic of bureaucracy, which I like, but since it's hard to spell, it'll never work. It's hard to spell. I was trying to write it down. Bureaucracy, B-U-R-E-A-U, C-R-A-C. It's hard. You can't meme that.
No. It was a nice try, though. I mean, I appreciate the effort. Yeah, she's off the reservation, and I like the fact she, of course, names herself as a liberal progressive, which is, of course, everybody at the New York Times.
Yes.
And they don't know quite what to do with themselves now that they figured out they're wrong.
Yeah. Turns out the conspiracy theorist podcasters were right. Whoops.
All along.
Whoops. Whoops. We're eating your lunch, too. Look at all the ad money we're taking away. Oh, wait.
Well, us not necessarily.
No, not at all. Not at all. That's the funny part.
Facebook taking away all the ad money.
Yes, correct.
So I got two more clips that have to do with this. One is the Deja. I listened to this and I just say, didn't we hear this already? But it's brand new.
Uh-oh.
Which is the mandates overturned.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. The only exception to President Biden's vaccine mandate for federal employees was for those who received medical or religious exemptions, which have been hard to come by. U.S. District Judge Jeffrey Brown, who was appointed by then-President Donald Trump, worked expeditiously to make the ruling on the case, only about a month after it was filed. Brown made the ruling on the same day federal employees could have been disciplined for not being vaccinated. Robert Henneke, executive director and general counsel for the Texas Public Policy Foundation, said the Biden administration didn't have the authority they claimed to enforce vaccine mandates.
The government pointed to three statutes that it argued gave it authority. And very methodically, Judge Brown walked through each of the statutes that were claimed by the Biden administration as giving it the authority to do this. And he examined and said each of those three statutes doesn't say you can do this. And so you're seeing that as a common characteristic. The Biden administration is issuing these sweeping mandates just on its own. When they're being challenged in court, they're trying to point to some kind of vague statute to say that this arguably could give them the power to do so. And judges are correctly examining the text of the statute and saying, no, Congress never gave you this authority.
The lawsuit was filed by Feds for Medical Freedom. The group describes itself as a national grassroots coalition formed to respond to mandates imposed on public servants and government contractors. Henneke says Judge Brown made the right decision, but there is a bigger picture that is being missed when judges have blocked the vaccine mandates.
They're getting to the right outcome, but the courts are only addressing these vaccine mandates by looking at the specific text of the statute and deciding for themselves whether that statute gives the federal government the power under that law. It's missing the bigger context, the bigger question as to constitutionality. Forget what the specific statute may or may not say. Does the federal government have constitutional authority to command Americans to take a medical procedure that they don't want for themselves? I think under the Constitution, the answer is clearly no.
Well, no, that's why they don't want to address that, of course. No one wants to be the guy who has to just debate that one. It's not a career builder either way.
Well, this mandate's going to hold up because it's going to go to the 5th appeals court, and they're very libertarian.
You mean so it can't come back to the Supreme Court after that? Because which judge just blocked
really
it
hard
now?
to. It's what?
Well, there was a federal judge in Texas.
Yeah, that's
blocked it. That's the one.
This guy.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll be able to follow it because it's going to be a Texas thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so that'll be overturned in the 5th, and then
no, it's not going to be overturned. It'll be a
stayed
confirmed.
or whatever, confirmed. Oh, okay. But then someone could still take it to the Supreme Court, but they just won't. They probably don't want it. They don't want to touch it.
By this time, this thing should
They don't want to touch it. No, they don't want to touch it. Well, okay, so it blows over. We get there eventually. It looks for us, I think your initial assessment based upon the pattern of the 1918 pandemic is April, May. The UK, now I've read and I've heard some rumblings that somehow legally they could, even though Plan B, which lifts all mandates and masks everything, which is lifted as of this coming Thursday.
Plan A?
I have no idea what it is. Boris Johnson said it, so who knows if it's true. So I think they still have some emergency powers where they could switch it back up until February 6th. I'm not sure if that's true or not. But the Czech Republic is going completely dropping all mandates, and Ireland. And it was one of our producers sent me 2 short clips from an Irish radio show, and it's a discussion, and one of the speakers is Dr. Pete Lunn. He's the head of behavioral research at ESRI, I don't know which, some university. And they're talking about opening up Ireland, and that this is something we might, we have to listen to maybe prepare for what's coming for us, because it's not just going to be, hey, all right, everything's gone, everything's dropped, all good to go, back to normal. People are going to freak out over that.
There's no rationale for these public health measures, so go and live your life.
But do you not think there's an element, though, Ciara, of that people are so brainwashed by, and it was, Pete, you'd agree, propaganda for the last 2 years, effective and true and necessary propaganda maybe, but people are so brainwashed by it. Some people now almost think that the norm is that society should be shut down, and that opening it up is kind of the deviant position. And why would you be opening up?
That's coming here. There's no doubt about that.
There's no doubt about it because of some of the clips I didn't get, which I mentioned, which is all the kids that are protesting because the parents, the schools and the parents and everybody's not strict enough. Even though I think a lot of those are phony, and I think it's trumped up by the media, at the same time, I think it's just obvious that people are buying it.
Here's part 2 to that.
But then moving on to people's kind of anxiety with this, I mean, given how quickly this has happened psychologically, I think we've got a lot of explaining to do, actually. So, I mean, this is great news, and I don't want to in any way detract from that. Yeah. But I think there are a lot of people who now don't get the narrative. It's like, where are we going next? What am I supposed to do? How much do I alter the dial on how much risk to take? Do I still need to be 2 meters from people? Should I still avoid crowded situations?
Yeah, people are going to be confused. They won't know what to do. Hey, what are we doing? What are we doing? I should just stay indoors. It's better. It's safer.
Well, those people should stay indoors.
So I think that the way this wraps up, as we're going to get pretty close to the end here. It'll just be confirmation, I think, from here on out, except for the political part, which I don't see the path yet for that. President Harris. huge. I think they still would like to get people using some kind of passport, but it'll boil down to it's not really that important. But, whether you've been vaccinated, it doesn't really matter. I don't know if you'll have to be fully boosted. Maybe there'll be that requirement. We have different up-to-date, different color levels for how up-to-date you are. But if you had natural immunity, then you'll also be using the passport. So it'll be a very small number of people who want. And that's all they need is just to have that mechanism in place, I think. As long as we have something, we got people to install some piece of software that we can do stuff with and, eventually pour the central bank digital dollar, the federal digital dollar into. Did you see that they announced they're studying it with MIT?
Yeah.
The Fed?
Yeah.
Well, that should be interesting.
All you want, chumps.
Hey, I see them doing it. If China does it, they almost have to do it, but they're setting parameters around it. It'll be just like cash. Mm-hmm.
Talking about China, I have my last COVID clip, which is not a COVID clip, but it's about the back and forth going on between China and the United States regarding flights.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The transportation.
So now we're getting flights blocked both ways.
The Transportation Department is going to block 44 flights heading to China operated by 4 Chinese airlines. The suspension will go into effect January 30th and end on March 29th. This is in response to China's decision to block several U.S. airline flights over COVID concerns. The 4 Chinese airlines impacted are Xiamen Airlines, Air China, China Southern Airlines, and China Eastern Airlines.
Yeah, this is we're waging war over the convenience of the human resources of the world.
Yeah.
That's what's going on here. Oh, you don't want to vote our way in the United Nations Security Council about North Korea sanctions? Okay, then no flights for you. To which then China says, "Oh, we're just going to shut down the ports. No goods for you." Who is running this show? Who is the China? I saw this was funny. This showed up on RT, of course, or was it Bright? No, it was RT. China brings back anal swab coronavirus test in Beijing. Was this thing ever proven to be true or not?
Well, it has to be kind of true because although I was skeptical and I still am, where they're taking municipal wastewater and they're determining how many people have got COVID based on the crap that they process. So the swab should work.
Yeah. Well, the wastewater, that would make sense. So you can target.
No, but I'm just saying if the wastewater contains crap.
Yeah.
That has.
I understand. I'm just saying that in that context, that the wastewater testing, that's much better for finding out, if you need to shut down an apartment building, that's for targeting purposes. I mean, it's pretty obvious who's positive when you're using the anal swab. It's one person. That'd be so cool, that future, where you just lock people down in their own homes. We're so used to it now. You haven't been good. We can see that you're positive.
There's too many humorous directions you can go with this material.
Yeah.
Pretty shitty.
Exactly. Let me see what else I had on this. Yeah, no, I think that's kind of it. I mean, from the way, what I see is the only ways out for the power hungry and, for the political set that has been abusing us and abusing the world with this thing is climate change, cyber pandemic, and then maybe eventually some kind of financial thing. But it's 5 years away at least, don't you think? They got to do a lot of stuff here.
There's a lot of study. They have to analyze what we just went through and see where the weak spots were, what the mistakes were, why we didn't get everybody on board, what was the reason with these outliers,
yes,
which is like 30% of the public, why didn't they buy in at all?
Oh, here's some
resistant.
It's happening right now. You're absolutely right. This is happening right now. The self-analysis is going on at the World Economic Forum. This is the theme for this year's symposium is the Great Narrative. these people. And listen to this self-reflection.
At Davos a few years ago, the Edelman survey showed us that the good news is the elite across the world trust each other more and more. So we can come together and design and do beautiful things together. The bad news is that in every single country they were polling, the majority of people trusted that elite less.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that clip because I had it and lost it.
So I tell you that I had in my mind somewhere, I look at this clip and I'm like, this could easily be from 3 years ago and I wouldn't know it. And I tried finding
10 years ago.
You have no idea anymore. It's really annoying.
I don't know when that clip was done, but when I heard it, it was like, yeah, this is exactly right. These elites, which we're adopting the fact that they
call themselves elites. This is crazy.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, not all of them.
Well, she just did.
Yeah, she did, but I think that's more of a European thing, and she had a slight accent. I don't think American elites do that so much.
No.
Yet. But I'm sure they feel that way, and it's like, the people and I think we're more self-aware about the elites not being well liked,
right?
Whereas the European elites, I can see them not understanding it. I mean, it's like one of my favorite things I saw. I think it was on 60 Minutes, or it was on a video podcast or something. Some guy went up to Jacob Rothschild. You've probably seen this clip. Some dick goes up to Jacob Rothschild, who just roams around like a normal person.
Oh, is this in his garden?
No, he
the
was
one on the street. On the street, yeah. He's and he's going to walk to his house. The guy follows him all the way to his mansion.
Yeah, and he follows him, and he's haranguing him.
Yeah,
and I mean, Rothschild's got no bodyguards. He's just he's a banker, and he's retired. He's just an old man, what he really is. And, he just couldn't even understand what the guy was talking about. You guys are ruining the world. I'm trying to get home.
What's your point? That he's not evil because he's a senile old man?
No, I think, he wasn't senile to say the least because they interviewed him later. But he's old, that's for sure. But it's just that they have a cavalier attitude because of their elite status. They really have this belief that they're like above it all in some funny way.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
it's not something we can understand in the United States. It's really alien. But
yeah.
I mean, here, some guy makes if somebody, let's say he makes $500,000 a year, some of these guys got bodyguards and they go around with an entourage.
You get that special insurance where it's not the life insurance. It's not listed anywhere, and only a special code can be used to claim the insurance, and the amount is not known. All these things. I used to get those calls. I would laugh. What am I going to divvy up? And for John, you get my mark of the unicorn audio device, so you can continue with the show. No.
Yeah, I'd have to get a Mac.
Mark Cuban, speaking of elites, is opening up an online pharmacy to provide affordable generic drugs. This has scam written all over it with this guy.
So wait, let me get this. I was thinking about this, actually. I think when I woke up from some crazy dream. And I was thinking about different people that go into businesses where they've had no experience whatsoever, ever. And because, every once in a while somebody, I think, what we can do is go make some money doing this. Well, you've ever been in the business? No. So Mark Cuban's, his business really is a basketball owner. And something of I wouldn't call him a scammer per se, but his broadcast.com, which he sold for $3 billion or something.
He just did a great job with that. He was
early in and early out, very smart guy. And he
can't be jealous. It was he just did a great job on getting that.
Timing.
Mm-hmm.
And he does what he wants to do. So but he did HDTV. He was into that for a while, and he got pretty good at it, but it wasn't, it wasn't network quality. It wasn't high end.
It wasn't exponential. The growth wasn't there.
But so what does he know about drug pharmacies that he wants to do this? So there's no, the old sayings in the Valley was always, What was it when you had a lot of skills in some arena? It was called I forgot the
Randy
term.
Comazar?
There's a term for it.
Entrepreneur in residence? No, I'm confusing you now.
think
I'm
of it.
confusing you now. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Master of Jack of all
the
trades.
point is that he's got no business doing this.
No, this is going to be exactly like him doing the keynote at the podcast movement, the big podcast conference, announcing, oh, yeah, this is the future of podcasting, with his fire hose or whatever it was called.
I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, they gave him the keynote speech, of course, or he paid for it. That's usually how it works with I think he has enough celebrity appeal for the podcast conference organizers. Like, Mark Cuban's going to do the keynote, which he did with some...
On podcasting.
Yeah, with some this...
How come you didn't get the keynote?
This is...
You actually, you know what?
Because they want you to pay for it.
You actually know something about podcasting.
No, they always want you to sponsor. This is from the first podcast conference where they said, hey, man, you've got VC money. You should, here, come do the keynote. So, I'd love to do the keynote. Yeah, but you need to sponsor for $20,000. I'm not going to sponsor for $20,000. We need to spend that money on doing shit. Well, man, that's not cool. You're fucking the community.
Well, that's beside the point.
but so usually conferences, that's where they make their kind of upfront money, is sell those sponsorships. It's pay to speak. That's what it is. So no, I'm not into that, but you can get a name big enough. And I think Cuban probably qualified, and he had a big announcement, and it was dumb. It was Clubhouse for podcasting. And it was failed at launch with all kinds.
Recent?
A year ago? Like 9 months ago? Yeah. Yeah, thing it kind of launched, and, it was a mess. It's like, you own your own content, and then the terms of service said, we own the content. Anyway, so, the elites are just mucking up the waters. Although not happening in your neck of the woods, in many places, and also not in mine, by the way, many places in the United States, and this is an article I'm reading here, U.S. food supply under pressure from processing plants to store shelves. Grocery store shelves have gotten harder to fill as workers calling in sick have added to continuing supply and transportation disruptions. So whatever the reason or compounded reasons, there's shortages, and it's probably going to get worse. And this is where we need to slip in some climate change stuff, because that's our real problem, is the carbon and the food and how it's made. And he's back, Al Gore.
Former Vice President Al Gore took us for a ride in his electric ATV.
I bet most people don't think of you as Farmer Al.
No, I don't think so. And truth to tell, I don't have many calluses on my hands either.
But this land outside Nashville is also Gore's climate change laboratory.
And then just push it in.
He's collecting a soil sample as he experiments with what's known
to one of his
as
massage therapists.
No. See, those stories, they never get brought back up again.
I just did.
Yeah. Say it again, because people forget.
If Al Gore was busted for being a douchebag, he should have been canceled. But I don't know, how do we cancel this guy because he's the climate change guy? He should have been canceled because he was making lewd comments and dropping his towel around all these massage people. He'd bring them up to his room, and it's all documented. And then he'd, look at this. Well, this is an interesting thing here. What do you think that's going to do?
Ooh, my towel dropped.
and so I'm not going to put up with this.
Yeah, what was this? What was this? Hold on a second. This is, when did that happen? I have a clip from it. This is from 2015.
During that era.
Yeah.
My exclusive interview with Bachelor Jake's coming up, but right now, another Al Gore scandal. First, it was the cheating rumors, and now accusations of sexual assault. Jerry.
Yeah, good times. No. Farmer
cheating
Al.
Rumors, now sexual assault. That he should have been canceled.
Me too.
Like the rest of these guys.
Time's
what
up.
happened?
Yeah, no. Farmer Al.
And then just push it in.
He's collecting a soil sample as he experiments with what's known as regenerative farming.
That means cut back on the plowing. There are better ways to plant.
There's actually 3 times more carbon stored in the topsoil of the earth than all the trees and plants combined. By plowing less and making that soil more fertile, scientists say farmers could help trap massive amounts of additional planet-warming carbon emissions in the ground.
Job number 1 is to stop using the sky as an open sewer for all of this man-made global warming pollution, and that's what's making.
I just love how he makes carbon dioxide sound like diarrhea. I mean, that's some wordsmithing there. I have to hand it to Al here.
Stop using the sky as an open sewer for all of this man-made global warming pollution, and that's what's making the weather crazy and dangerous.
Crazy!
He says Mother Nature is now making the most effective argument for climate action, and he's encouraged by the rapid growth of solar and wind power. But the planet is still rapidly warming as we continue to pump near record amounts of pollution into the sky.
There's all this progress being made, but is it enough?
A realist will tell you, look, we've done some damage. Some of it, regrettably, is not recoverable. But we go from where we are.
We go from where we are.
Who's doing this? Where did this come from?
CBS this weekend.
The guy doing the report says pollution, and is referring to natural carbon dioxide,
pollution,
and methane, which are all natural. They come from the earth. It's organic.
Pollution. It's brown. It's like an open sewer up there from the pollution. Yeah, this is narrative forming. And what's interesting is I've been following regenerative farming, and my brain was hurting. Why would Al Gore promote something that's actually good? And I'm not talking about the CO2, although, sure, that's fine. We just keep it in the earth. But going back to, and I'm not talking about throwing herbicides and pesticides on it and not tilling, but, having cow manure, pig manure, chicken manure, etc. So how can this douchebag elite be promoting the right thing? It's almost like, did they capture the term? Is there something I'm missing? And after some sleuthing, okay, I understand what's going on here. Here's part 2 of this series from CBS this weekend.
Gore is a major investor in a new tech platform called Climate Trace. It uses satellites, sensors, and artificial intelligence to track greenhouse gas emissions around the globe. Gore believes this will be an important tool to hold countries accountable for their pollution.
We're not the climate cops. Maybe the neighborhood watch, but our neighborhood is the whole world.
We're in constant communication with the scientific community.
Al Gore has been sounding the climate alarm for more than 4 decades. First as a young congressman.
The Arctic is experiencing faster melting.
And then 15 years ago with his planetary PowerPoint in the film An Inconvenient Truth.
The crisis is still getting worse faster than we're deploying the solutions. There is a remaining question about whether we will solve it in time.
He's still optimistic, mainly because of young people all over the world now demanding change.
I want them to, in the words of Spinal Tap, I want them to turn it up to an 11.
Feet to the fire.
And the more they can march, the more noise they
This guy is so square, he says it wrong. No, it goes to 11. I want him to turn it up to the 11.
Words of Spinal Tap, I want them to turn it up to an 11.
An 11.
To the fire.
Absolutely. And the more they can march, the more noise they can make, the more demands they insist upon.
He's calling for riots.
Faster progress we'll make. I'm a firm believer in that.
And he still believes the climate crisis we created is one we can also solve.
The direction of travel is clear, and I do believe that we will get there.
I do believe?
Yeah, he always says that.
Does he believe or does he do believe?
No, he do believes. So I looked this outfit of his up. Now this is Al Gore he's playing a long game, and I got to appreciate it. So
he's going to be dead by the time his long game is over.
Well, what has his long game always been with Maurice Strong, who is dead? Maurice Strong is already not going to see the long game. It was the carbon credit exchange. Yeah. Al Gore is Mr. Carbon Credit. He wants a price on carbon. So we can tax the hell out of him.
He's a skimmer.
Yeah, but this is interesting because if you look at this website, They have it's the equivalent of the pew pew map for the what was that that cyber outfit where they show all the attacks taking place. There's Russia. Oh, there's one from Ukraine. Oh, there's one from the pew pew pew. So he has a satellite image. You can twirl the globe, and it's showing the exact amounts of carbon. You can zoom in. You can see where there's too much carbon. Oh. He is going to be counting. Whether he can do it or not is a whole nother question. He's trying to become the authority. Oh, I see right there. I see those 3 acres down in Texas, there in central Texas. That looks like curry. It looks like there's too much carbon emitting from those 3 acres. Let's tax him. I'm telling you, this guy is, and he always rolls out to Silicon Valley or to the money people first. Before that movie even came out, he was showing it to Kleiner Perkins because I was there when he did it. And he got everyone all to invest, and Kleiner Perkins had their green tech fund. Lord knows what happened to that. Which was
one of the few funds that they lost money on.
I know. I know.
They lost their ass on it. Yeah. And the Kleiner Perkins has never been the same.
I know.
It's not even because people talk about the VCs now. They talk about Sequoia. They talk about all kinds of different operations, even Andreessen, which is like not even a smart company, but Kleiner Perkins is out of the conversation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they because they can't do it. They don't know how to make it work. Yeah. Some what's this guy? Some Bjorn Lomberg, who is some dude on Twitter, did the calculation. So take it for what it's worth, and he says, okay. If we really needed to use battery power, the world uses, here's what he comes up with, 51 gigawatt hour per minute and has 64 gigawatt hour of total battery storage. So enough for about 1 minute and 15 seconds of energy. If everything goes to shit, that's how long we can keep the lights on, if we kept everything on. And he said I believe
that's probably true.
Me too. He says by 2030, it'll be much better. 10 minutes and 10 minutes, 24 seconds.
The thing about batteries that, is kind of not. Batteries are like a batch process. You fill the battery up, you drain it, and you fill it. It's a batch process insofar as like what you just described. If you had to run the world, you need a continuous process where you have a coal-fired plant that's just making energy constantly because the coal's coming in, it's being burned. Energy comes out through a generator. Batch processes are always frowned upon in technology. You don't want to do things in batch. You want to do them in continuous. You want to use the continuous process. That's why that food processing stuff's so fascinating for everybody, including you, where the cookie factory doesn't make a batch of cookies. They're making the cookies on an assembly line.
Oh, yeah.
And they're pouring out the back, these cookies. Batch process stuff, which is small batch, artisan, all that stuff. It's just a low profit item. It's really not the way to go about things.
Oh, that's a good point.
And so this whole battery thing is all batch process.
So you mean the creation, the charging, the discharging?
Everything. It's a batch process operation.
Right. That's like the Tesla battery itself is just a batch of AA batteries, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
The cells?
Actually.
Yeah, the cells. Yeah.
Well, that's for some legal reason. They don't have to be that way.
I thought that's just they buy them from Toshiba or something like that, and then pretend like they're doing something special in the Gigafactory. What are you doing? I'm loading up batteries all day. I mean, I've actually been looking at mechanical batteries just out of interest to see what kind of.
You mean like an internal combustion engine?
No, like a water tower where you use some mechanism to slowly...
like to get the water up there and then...
Yeah. And then store it, because you're basically storing energy that you could have collected over a month's time to fill it up. And then when you need it, you have all that water, and then it drives a turbine, and you could go for a while, I think. I'm trying to look into it.
Actually, there is a power plant in Washington. I believe it's off the Hood Canal Road.
Mm-hmm.
I've driven past this place, 100 times. And at first I looked at it and said, what the hell is this? It's it's a small power plant, and they have these giant pipes that go up into the mountain.
That's the Trump, a TROMPE. I've looked into this. Go ahead. Tell me what you see there and make sure I'm talking.
Yeah, well,
sense.
you got your little power plant you can see, and there's like glass. It's really pretty. And then there's these big pipes that go way up into into the somewhere up to the side of the hill, and I was told that that's when in some situations they accumulate or they pump water up there when they get too much power and they don't get it. They turn these pumps on and move water up there, and then when they need it, they just run it through the turbines on the way back. It's still kind of baffling to me, but it's very attractive.
There's this other power plant, which I think is something different, at the Montreal River in Scandinavia, and it's the system is called a TROMPE, a TROMPE, and it creates compressed air, and it does that by if you have a water source that is as high as possible, really, that you get from down below.
This compressed air.
It's really interesting to see how it works.
Yeah.
And compressed air, compressed air isn't it still used in mines to generate electricity? So it's a non-flammable gas?
Don't know.
Yeah, power tools work on compressed air.
Yeah, a lot of power tools do.
There's one of those
spray paint operations.
There's one of the dudes from Revenge of the Nerds sent me an email. I know this. Who was in the movie Revenge of the Nerds?
Yeah.
Or his partner, I can't remember what it was. They've come up with a windmill that collects compressed air, and they've been trying to get investors for it for, I don't know, 7 years. But it actually seems to work.
What is the point?
Well, so they say they can generate 1 megawatt hour, and there's and all you need is, I think, like 13 miles an hour of wind, and not even continuously. They've got these turbines that suck in the air, and then they have this mechanism that compresses it and puts it into a tank, and then you can unleash the tank, and then you drive your electrical generator, start things up. And he says we can do small neighborhoods. He said I have to look the company up. There's just a lot. There's a lot of interesting stuff out there. None of it's an exit strategy yet.
No, I wouldn't think so.
I'm working on it.
It's full of hot air.
Yeah. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage. Say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in the climate change, Mr. John C. Dvorak, everybody.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all strips of sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water. The names are nice out there.
Yeah. And in the morning to the trolls who are here 1 hour and 11 minutes into the show, and they are active as always. Let's see how many we have here. Seeing this is a Sunday show. I didn't get the count here. What is the count? Oh, 2648. Hey, that's pretty high. Isn't that close to the record? You have the Post-it note, do you not?
It's the new record.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah, the old record's
Really?
2642.
Fantastic, because donations are a record low. This is very interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. All right, trolls. Well, good. Maybe this is an indicator for things to come. Good to have you all here.
Non-donations.
Well, no, for the next show. People are like, oh, yeah, that was such a good show. We had such a good time. We're going to support it. The trolls can be joined for free at any time you want. Go to trollroom.io. It's just a basic chat room. And if you register, you can keep your nickname and all that groovy stuff. And the cool part about it is you can go to noagendastream.com or even trollroom.io and listen to the No Agenda Stream live, which is on Thursdays and Sundays, but it's 24/7. So there's a lot of live shows taking place that you control in real time. Almost everybody interacts with the troll room in one way or the other, and it's just a fun place to be. I want to thank Aaroner for doing something genius. We keep talking about noagendasocial.com and how that's really, that's the real Web3 right there. Decentralized social network. It works across any type of Mastodon or Fediverse compatible server. And it's so nice to see Mastodon.social. I guess we've been unblocked or something, because there's lots of people contributing to threads. I see it on our server.
Maybe complaining about it helps.
Well, something happened. It just seems like, or maybe that we're not in their federated timeline, but people can still follow. I don't know, but it's working, and it's just deplatform. It's simple. There's no algo. You get in a heated debate, it scrolls off to something else. You go on with your life. Everybody's happy. It doesn't come back to haunt you continuously. And what Aaroner did is because I always say, follow at John C. Dvorak at noagendasocial.com or follow Adam at noagendasocial.com. And of course, it turns out after he put the alias in that a lot of people were emailing us at these email addresses, which is very confusing. I don't know how to solve that. Because when you say, it's like follow us there, people are like, oh, that's how I email. Which is interesting because adam@curry.com is so much easier to spell. So have you received email through this yet?
No.
Well, they only do it to me then. But anyway, I'm happy because some donation notes even came through that way. That is not the preferred method, but it works. Let's thank the artists who brought us the artwork for the previous episode. We like to do this. We like to discuss the many entries that come in because this top-notch talent that is working on this stuff, like everybody else who produces the best podcast in the universe. Homeless Apocalypse was episode 1418, and the artwork was expertly created by Tanta Nail. And this was the Boris Johnson no more mandates partay. He's got his pints of beer, and just one of the best expressions, which I don't know if she what kind of base she had to work with, but man, that's
she obviously saw that image someplace, and like any other artist, thinking, I bet you I could find a use for this.
I could do something with that.
It.
Yeah.
And there it is. I mean, I've never seen that image before, but it doesn't look like it's been chopped.
No.
So it's
doesn't.
It's just a funny image. What can I say?
And we liked it. I mean, there were a couple other candidates.
No, we liked a lot of stuff, but this was a fallback. We had it took a little voting back and forth. We had a bunch of stuff. You like the mouse holding the spear that's right next to it from Parker Pauly. Holding the swab.
Yeah.
I like the voter fraud with the clown on the side.
Yeah.
Dropbox.
Yeah, but that was Darren O'Neill, and as you know, I hate him. So
you do.
Yeah, that's why I'm not going to choose that. I just
that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah,
even
no
though
way.
I fought and fought.
Screw that guy. No, I hate him too much. I can't let that happen. You
and then we had
let the cat out of the bag.
Test your hamster with the swab and the little cartoon hamster, and
you
said,
like
it looks
that.
like a cat. It looks too much like a cat.
It does look like a cat.
You made a fuss about that.
Well, you were just bitching and moaning. I like that one. I like that one. Looks like a cat, but I like it. Yeah, but it looks like a cat. It says hamster.
I like Bumbling Joe, the can of tuna
yes,
fish.
But we both like that, but we had to keep to the rule. This Nestworks that it was just too small. It just doesn't. And there was lots of funny stuff in there.
Yeah, it was to read it. You couldn't read it.
Yeah, if you blow it up and you see, what did he have here? No joke, new corn pop flavor, omega 33. I mean, all good stuff, just too small.
Yeah, you couldn't see the gags.
No.
Damien, I like that round thing Kenny Ben did with the hamster something. I don't know what that is, but I just like her badges. She does a bunch of them.
Yeah, the badges. She does good badge. She gives good badge.
Dynamite.
Yeah, she does.
Dynamite. And then
I think that was it.
No, there was one other one, I think. I can't think of what it was, but there's one other one we had a little debate about.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe not.
No, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, but we were struggling, and then we decided on the on the one with Boris, and it was just the one that it was the winner.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel bad, but now that Darren knows I hate him, there's just no way that can win. It's too bad.
No, he's going to win again. He does he always, if there wasn't Boris, then boom, next guy down.
Thank you to all the artists and of course, Tanta Neil for nailing it. Neil nailed it. With the artwork. This is a very important part of the value for value model that No Agenda pioneered and used to this day. There's no way you can have any type of process that is affordable, even doable, to have a piece of art to slap onto the MP3 right after the show is recorded. Are you kidding me?
Let me make at least an observation. Roger Roundy did something with the rule follower at the beginning. I don't know if he should know this. but maybe he doesn't, that we don't use images of ourselves under any circumstances.
Wow.
Because it was overused for the first 2 or 3 years of the show.
But if you look at that piece, I think that's the joke. Because it says, NA show art rule follower, no hosts, no spiky viruses, no frogs. And the images are heads, spiky virus,
it was
and
just
a
one
frog.
of those meta gags that he's
I actually used that
for.
I used it for the pre-show art on the previous, on that episode 1418. Because it's like one of those one and dones. Yeah, of course. I knew we were never going to choose it. But, he did a pretty good job. Look how the spike goes through the ribbon. Look how the ribbon is wrapped around the frog's neck.
No, he's not a slouch.
No. And look how he applied some kind of filter that makes us look like very old turtles.
Oh, that part I didn't notice.
Yeah, if you blow it up, there's some weird filter effect on it. And it just looks like our faces are we have creased skin everywhere.
I'm not seeing this.
No? Oh.
No.
Oh. Well,
like our heads, even though there's a frog down below.
Yeah, but you don't see the lines, the swirly lines? It's stylized? No. You don't see that?
No, I got to blow it up.
Well, the people who are using a Podcasting 2.0 app right now can probably stop or just, you don't have to stop. Just look at your app right now and you'll see this image because that's one of the many new features. But more importantly, with podcasting under increasing attack, we have made it so that there are at least 15 apps, some of them pretty big, including Overcast, where you just can't get deplatformed. It's just not going to happen. So try a modern podcast app and support the protection and enhancement of podcasting at newpodcastapps.com. Now to thank our executive producers and associate executive producers, we kick it off with Jason Paingirl from Elk, Washington, with $600.85. Interesting number. In the morning, gents, please accept my lopsided donation on behalf of my smoking hot wife, Carly. Please dedouche her. Okay, hold on a second. Didn't even have the dedoucher ready. I want to make sure it's not too cold.
You've been dedouched.
Also send some health karma her way, I shall. I knew I was listening to the right podcast when my son started asking for clips from your show to send to his homeroom teacher.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. He's in Washington State, John.
Yeah, Inslee.
Oh, my. You guys have kept us sane during this whole pandemic and 2 weeks ahead of what was happening, so at least we knew what was coming. Thanks for everything from the hill country of Washington State. And he wants some jingles here. He wants his get vaccinated. Of course, everybody loves that. He wants to stay safe, and he wants a no. And, of course, we'll do the massive health karma.
Get vaccinated. Good to see you. Please stay safe.
No.
You've got karma.
Sir Adam of Hooverville came in from Austin, Texas at 444.44. And he asked, where is Kaylee now? I miss her.
Yeah. She shows up on...
She's on Fox once in a while.
On Fox, yeah, I've seen her there. Or we can always remember her fondly from this.
I got the Kaylee beat.
I do like the Kaylee beat.
I got the Kaylee beat.
Kaylee beat.
I got the Kaylee beat.
I do like the Kaylee beat. You were kind of smitten with Kaylee. You liked her.
I think she was a winner.
Yeah.
She was sassy.
Yes. James Murray, Huntington Beach, California, our final executive producer with the perfect amount of 333.33. No note, though. I don't have anything from James Murray. Do you have anything from James?
No note that came in my site either.
Then I will, and James, if you have something, you can always send it post-show or let us know what happened. John Muchink in Austin, Texas, 245, first associate executive producer in the morning. Dudes, please credit this to Amy Mullen, my smoking hot wife, who it took Animated No Agenda to finally bring to the dark side. You mean the light side? We are a Ronimo couple. Ronimo couple needing house buying karma to flee Austin and get back into the great state of Texas soon. Love is lit. Thanks. How hard can it be?
Austin's got the real estate prices through the roof. It's easy to get out.
Well, he says house, to be fair, he says house buying karma, which buying something affordable anywhere within the 500-mile radius of Austin is going to be difficult. But yeah, of course we're going to give that to you.
You've got karma.
And I've done the switcheroo for the credit.
Good. Abhilash Kumar, in Bombay. This came in as had to be adjusted. It came in as a wire transfer.
I was going to say, because PayPal, I don't think, does India, do they?
No. He did it as a wire transfer
cool.
to the bank account, which means I had to, dig it up. Greetings from Bombay. I realized that I've been making small, medium donations since 2011 and very close to achieving knighthood. Who'd have thunk it? So he's been getting money in somehow, mostly through, I have to say, through wire transfers.
Very cool.
Which is, they cost $10. It's not the best way to do it, but it does work.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, he continues, I wanted to confirm my accounting with you since he did. You sent some accounting in, and it looks okay to me. And taking into account, anyway, he's got about $100 to go in his.
Okay.
He did a double credit back in the day when we did the twofer.
Yeah.
And he wanted to know if that was okay. I figured, yeah, sure.
Of course. Hey, he's taken the time and effort to support us.
It's a pain in the ass.
Yes. It was very cool.
Good.
Thank you, Abhilash. And send us a pronunciation guide, please. Tim Lang, San Francisco, 212. ITM, update from Denmark. Oh, okay. So I guess he's from San Francisco, temporarily in Denmark. After the casual culling of millions of mink, the head of the Danish CIA has now been imprisoned on undisclosed charges. Yeah, I've been following that.
Oh, what is it?
We don't know. I think espionage. Might have been an agent.
For the Chinese? What's he doing?
I don't know. I'd have no information. I know that he was that he'd been detained. I don't know about imprisoned. And it's undisclosed charges, so we don't know what it is. The Stalinization of Denmark continues. Also, quick plug. Suave vampires on open sea. Godspeed, JNA. Sounds like he's promoting a NFT here. Suave vampires.
Or either that or it's code.
No, it's a NFT. OpenSea is an NFT marketplace.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Gregory D. Bernardo in Canton, Georgia, 20252. He writes, lest there be part of a problem of the 7% decrease in the amount of donations in the best podcast in the universe, please accept this, my second donation, as a token of my appreciation. I'm going to bring somebody out of the woodwork. Good.
Mm-hmm.
My appreciation for the good work you guys do. You boys do. I actually do read the newsletter. See?
Yeah, you do.
I'm about 1/3 of the way to being a knight, I think. If the amount of donations you get is related to the amount of COVID cases we are seeing, it really shouldn't be a big deal to just lie about the cases like everyone else does.
Yeah, we shouldn't make... John, what a mistake we're making. We're making people feel good. That's why...
Just make it up, he says. Either that or we're going to have to make sure Fauci, I won't give him the respect of using the doctor in his title, and I don't think you should either, never goes away for the sake of the show. Give me every Sharpton babble you have on the soundboard, and I will be thrilled. By the way, I've got a new Sharpton.
Oh.
It's just a little one, but I think it could be incorporated into the bigger Sharpton events.
Oh, yeah. The bigger Sharpton events. Okay.
The Arizona Democratic Party.
Partily?
Farterly.
What does he say?
Farterly.
Farterly?
The Arizona Democratic Party.
No, I think he says partily. I'm not sure if he says fartily. But now you've programmed it, so now that's how we will hear it.
The Arizona Democratic Party. Tonight is the measure of whether the country begins in the state of Wisconsin a national drive to push back, or whether we have more to go to build a movement of resistance. But resist we must, and we will much about that be committed. Party.
Jeez. Thank you, Gregory. And let's see. We've got, I just finished them out here. That's a very short segment today. Falls Church, Virginia, very Jonathan short. Crow. I appreciate you guys and didn't want to be the only douchebag at the Defeat the Mandates March meetup. Okay. Well, good. Any supports us. Thank you. Keep up the good work. And we have Chuck Bennett from Caldwell, Idaho, also $200. And it just says donation from Chuck Bennett, and we appreciate that. These executive producers and associate executive producers receive the title, the credit. It can be used anywhere credits are accepted and recognized. If anyone has any issue whatsoever, let us know because we'll vouch for them. And if you just go to search around for No Agenda Producer credits, you'll see it on LinkedIn. You can search people on LinkedIn by credits. Another fun way to find each other. Or look at IMDb. You'd be amazed who proudly displays their No Agenda executive or associate executive producer status. If you want to become one of those, go to Dvorak.org/NA. Thank you again for bringing it with your time, your talent, your treasure for 1419.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Shut up.
Whoop. Order. There we go.
Shut up,
So I was listening to NPR, and they have a series.
They've become pretty funny, haven't they?
Yeah, I think I'm amused, and they have the way their speaking pattern has kind of changed a little bit because there's a lot of more pauses and a lot of those. So they attacked Joe Rogan, and I figured I could to play these clips.
Yeah, this is I think we've probably heard the same thing, but you got clips. Okay.
And there's commentary that's necessary, and we'll go with these. This is Rogan's attack, but this really wasn't an attack on Rogan. It was an attack on a symbol of podcasting.
Yeah, I know. We're under attack.
And they're worried about podcasting because they don't, and I don't know who's calling the shots on this, but somebody's irked about the podcasting, and then they...
What's that lady from, I think, the Rockefeller Foundation who's done all the studies?
Their own podcast. What are they talking about?
Yeah, but they
do podcasting.
But yes, good podcasts and bad podcasts.
No, there's podcasts that you can control and podcasts. And I would, by the way, Joe Rogan's not in the same category as we are insofar as independence.
Nope.
He could be, but he's not for good reason, I would say.
Well, he isn't.
100 million good reasons.
Well, I would say the only, just as a caveat, I don't know if it's in this report or not, Joe can make whatever he wants. Spotify, because they only license it. They don't make it. They don't produce it. They don't own it. So,
I understand.
And if they don't take it, he can, I think he has the option to put it somewhere else. Yeah.
Moving it. But the point is that you can tell that what they're really concerned about is control.
Of course.
Podcasting is not controlled, and they have messaging that goes on that nobody can do anything about. And they got a couple, the last clip, the little short one at the end, is the one that's really kind of, I think, in their craw. But let's start with the first clip, NPR 1.
Over 1,000 doctors, scientists, and health professionals are calling out Spotify over false claims about COVID aired by its most popular podcaster, Joe Rogan. As NPR tech correspondent Shannon Bond reports, while platforms such as Facebook and Twitter face intense scrutiny for their role in spreading harmful health hoaxes, podcasts can be even more influential sources of information.
It wasn't the first time Joe Rogan or his guests have floated dubious or outright false information about the pandemic.
Floated.
But for Dr. Katrine Wallace, Rogan's last podcast episode of 2021 was the last straw.
This particular episode of the Joe Rogan podcast was sent to me hundreds of times the day that it went live by my followers because their friends and family were sending it to them as evidence that the vaccines are dangerous and that they shouldn't get it.
Wallace is an epidemiologist at the University of Illinois, Chicago, and part of a community of experts who debunk medical misinformation on social media.
Community.
In the episode in question, Rogan interviewed Dr. Robert Malone, a scientist who worked on early research into the technology behind the top COVID vaccines in the U.S., but who's now a vaccine skeptic. Malone made a lot of baseless and disproven claims, like saying that getting vaccinated puts people who have already had COVID at higher risk. It all alarmed Wallace.
Okay, so let's start with this. The very beginning of this clip had this little comment which really made me do a little work. Play Rogan calling sub clip, and then I'll go from there.
Over 1,000 doctors, scientists, and health professionals are calling out Spotify.
All right, let's take a look at this. This is, again, I bitch about this all the time, which is the mailing list that somebody has. I'm signing a petition. We're going to send it around, and you can sign. You want to sign it or not? Yeah, I hate Rogan. Boom, they signed it. And it turns out that the number of signatures on this thing was actually 1,324.
The number who have signed it now, you mean? The total number?
Yeah, that's the total number of signatures. So the guy said about 1,000.
And we're talking about the WordPress blog letter, right?
Yeah.
Toasted on a WordPress blog.
Yeah. Well, it's free. So I did a deep dive on this thing, and so these health professionals, the 1,324. How many of them do you think? I'm going to give you a quiz. How many of them do you think are MDs, doctors, out of 1,324?
I don't know the exact number, but I've heard that there were a whole bunch of people on this that were maybe not so qualified, including podcasters.
Wait a minute. You're talking about the Ali Ward, the host science correspondent for the Ologies podcast, or Bridget Scallion, the head of the Unbiased Science podcast?
Was she a doctor?
There's 4 podcasters.
Is she a scientist?
She's a podcaster.
That's right. Once you become a podcaster, you lose all other credentials. That is a rule. I do agree.
There's 4 podcasters on there. How many doctors? Actual doctors?
Five. I'm going to guess
140.
5. Okay.
Let's be real.
So 10%.
Yeah. And then but you think there were more doctors or PhDs? Just PhDs, rando PhDs who couldn't get work.
I bet there were 500 PhDs.
No, 151.
Oh, that's disappointing.
But
they're so
it's
easy
still
to come
more
by.
than doctors.
But were they medical PhDs or like Dr. Biden?
Half of them were, just randos.
Dr. Biden.
There's people like this Steve Rathje. He's a PhD candidate. The way I did the search, he would show up as one of the PhDs. Forrest Valkai, a master's student at the University of Tulsa.
I saw that name. I remember seeing, master's student.
What is he doing on this thing?
Well, hey, man, he did the formatting and he did the programming for the WordPress blog. So he gets a credit, okay?
768 nurses and 53 masters of public health. Everybody else is just
rat poop inspectors.
Yeah, so there's that. So this letter is to me very questionable. That something you'd use to jump off on a piece on National Public Radio just to slam some guy. I did pull a couple bios, and Jen Wenzel, who's at the University of San Diego, who signed the thing, and her area of interest. The University of San Diego is a Catholic school, and she's got nothing to do with anything that I can see that would make you want to be on this list. I guess anyone could be on it. I could have signed it. I'm a science correspondent for No Agenda Show.
Well, here, if I may, this would be an interesting assignment when one of these comes up. I mean, can you still get added to the list? It seems like people are joining the list. Can you
it depends on, some of these lists are open and they keep growing.
Well, this one seems to be growing. It started with 250, then it was 1,000. Now it's up to 1,300 plus.
13, yeah. Well, anyway, so that just galls me that these things, it's a mailing list. Is very few people in reality. If it was 100,000 people bitching, I would take it a little more seriously.
Oh, you mean like change.org? That would change things.
Well, no, but at least I think it's a jumping off point for a piece, a hit piece on
Right.
Joe Rogan and podcasting would be a little more appropriate than just this rando list that we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And what is obvious is NPR didn't check that.
Even if they did, they're just looking for an excuse to do the hit piece.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go to part 2.
It provides a sense of false balance, like there's two sides to the scientific evidence, when really there's not. The overwhelming evidence
crap.
is that the vaccines are
science
safe and that they're effective.
I don't even know how that can get on the air for someone to say that. That is newspeak. That is 1984 come to life.
It provides a sense of false balance, like there's two sides to the scientific evidence, when really there's not. The overwhelming evidence is that the vaccines are safe and that they're effective.
That just needs to be an evergreen. We just from time to time just need to pull that clip out and just remind people that is the consensus. That is what science is. It's not two sides. It's whatever the scientists agree, the majority. It can be 98%.
It's a vote.
It's more like, yeah. Hey, it's a filibuster. 60% is close enough.
She's particularly worried because Rogan has such a big audience. A stand-up comedian and TV personality, Rogan has an exclusive licensing deal with Spotify reportedly worth $100 million. So Wallace joined a group of fellow health professionals in an open letter slamming the company for allowing its biggest star to broadcast misinformation.
We are in a global health emergency, and streaming platforms like Spotify that provide content to the public have a responsibility not to add to the problem that we have right now.
They're not asking Spotify to kick off Rogan, but they want the company to be more transparent about its rules and to make it easier to flag these kinds of baseless claims about COVID.
Baseless.
Spotify declined to comment for this story, but has previously said it bans content about COVID that it deems dangerous or false. It's taken down 20,000 podcast episodes for breaking that policy, but Rogan's Malone interview is still available. Spotify CEO Daniel Ek told Dan Primack of Axios last year that the company does not take responsibility for what Rogan or his guests say.
Joe Rogan is just a one out of 8 million creators that we have on the platform.
But the best paid of all of those.
Sure. But we have a lot of really well-paid rappers on Spotify, too, that make tens of millions of dollars, if not more, each year from Spotify. And we don't dictate what they're putting in their songs either.
Rogan did not respond to NPR's request for comment. Misinformation researchers say it was only a matter of time until the spotlight turned to podcasts.
Wherever you have users generating content, you're going to have all of the same content moderation issues and controversies that you have in any other space.
Evelyn Dueck is a research fellow at Columbia's Knight First Amendment Institute. She says it's much harder to ferret out things like falsehoods and hate speech in podcasts compared to posts on Facebook and Twitter. But audio can be a powerful way to spread misinformation, says Valerie Wirtschafter at the Brookings Institution.
The podcaster is in your ear. You're probably alone listening to this podcast. It's a really unique relationship in that respect. The podcaster gains a level of authority and a level of credibility among listeners.
Boom.
So, to go on this little...
Hold on a second. I want to talk to people. I want to communicate something to them. Because I hear that when you're in their ear, it's
in their ear, not in their rear.
Remember Mevio had the slogan, Pod Show, stick it in your ear?
Yeah.
Wow, yes, that's absolutely true. It's interesting, though, the NPR voices somehow don't have that special relationship with my ear. Gosh, golly.
Code there. That might be it.
We finally get one. It's 3 markers here in this 2-minute bit here. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go. And now, so they go on and on moaning and groaning about podcasts because this is a threat. Because people are sick of their crap. It's just propaganda that they can't seem to control. It's because somebody's telling them what to say and what to do. So here, but there's still the thing. There's still something that's obviously eating at them, and it's revealed in the last clip.
Wirtschafter has been studying how the big lie that the 2020 election was stolen spread on political podcasts before the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol.
We're not talking about fringe ideas. These are the most popular podcasts in the United States.
She says as more people become aware of how misinformation spreads online, podcasts deserve the same scrutiny as social media. Shannon Bond, NPR News.
Huh. They switch gears right at the end. I mean, and it's just abrupt. The big lie.
Oh, man, that is really interesting. Okay, so let's think about this for a second. First of all, I'm going to give you a clip of the day for cutting that shit up into 3 bits and putting it in the right order.
Clip of the day. Because chronological.
Yeah, well...
Tough.
Was it chronological? No.
Yeah, it was. It was.
But it's not the whole report. The whole report was longer.
I cut some stuff out, little pieces here and there.
Yeah, you did a good job. That was a very good job. Yes, and a lot of it was boring. Well, first of all,
the stuff I left in was boring.
First of all, I saw this coming a year and a half ago, and that's why Podcasting 2.0 exists. So good luck. You know, they still will be able to deplatform people off of Apple and off of Spotify. Okay, fine, whatever. But now that you bring
did you listen? Right in that report, they said they took down
20,000 episodes.
I find that hard to
very
believe.
Very sketch about that. I mean, if you say, okay, sketch is sketch. You know, it's like, it's the opposite of simp. You know, come on, man, get with it. Hit. This is what the kids are talking about. Oh, wow, groovy, baby. Woohoo! It's sketch.
I've been hearing, oh, wow, on the TV. I'm going to get more
everywhere.
Clips.
No, I have another ISO. It's everywhere. Oh, wow is back en vogue. No, this is, what the hell was I talking about?
You were talking about Podcasting 2.0 and how you saved the day.
Right. Yeah, well, of course, I just wanted to point that out. But, yeah, when they remove the X22 report, which is very innocuous, I mean, the first 4 minutes of that damn show is ads that start like this. Let's talk about your health. Let's talk about it. And now let's talk about the financial news. Well, the Patriots and the private sector.
I don't know anything of what you're talking about.
I'm talking about the type of stuff Spotify took down. Podcasts, they took down. And
I don't know any of this.
No, because it's been taken down and you can't get it on your Spotify. So how would you know about it? No, I
don't use Spotify, so there's a start.
Let's just go back 2 years ago. Right after I went on Rogan for the first time. Rogan was leaving, and then Apple, Spotify, and a couple other podcasts, those two, Amazon, I think, they decided, oh no, we're taking Alex Jones off and a number of other QAnon podcasts. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Right. And that was, one of them was the X22 report, which is the podcast I just mimicked. So that was the moment when I said, oh no, you don't. We're going to have our own independent index. So that, and just from my conspiratorial thinking, at a meta level, once there was an alternative, and it's an open alternative, and it really can't be taken away because the database is open. Anyone can resurrect the database. There's thousands of copies everywhere.
Yeah, it's like DNS almost.
Right. Apple then pivoted and went, okay, we'll do subscriptions. We don't give a shit. And they actually broke a whole bunch of stuff, and they've kind of left the reservation. So Spotify is still left. But Apple has control, and I'm sure they will pull down whatever they want. So I think Spotify, they took down X22 report that had 1,000 episodes. So if you're going to count it that way, then I think that's how 20,000 episodes is the number. You see?
Yeah.
But you tying it into, and them tying it into the big lie, now we understand, because I'm thinking this is not an intelligence operation. This is not, because, podcasting is a problem. Now the cat is out of the bag. The problem is those pesky-ass podcasters have free reign to talk about whatever they want, particularly as it pertains to January 6th. And mind you, charges are now being filed against people for seditious conspiracy. Yes, I think it's seditious conspiracy. So you conspired to maybe do some seditious stuff. And if you listen to what the M5M is saying, hey, we're going, even if you weren't there, if you had anything to do with this insurrection, we're coming for you. So why wouldn't you set up, from a political standpoint, with your hacks in the media at NPR, why wouldn't you set up a little thing so we can make podcasters maybe liable somehow? And here's how it worked. You get sorry to say it, although he spoke some truth, you get the weak brother, Dr. Malone, who was completely compromised. You get him to say something kind of off the wall. It wasn't so much about any other vaccine. Well, I guess that was a main point, but it was the Hitler's coming. That's what the letter states, the letter, the open letter. You get 270 hacks to sign this thing so that then your other hack friends can come in and do a report about it. And then you can bring in the Rockefeller people and whoever else is doing studies. And then somehow that'll tie into the big lie. And then we can go after those people as well. That seems like something the Democrats could come up with.
This is great the way you've developed this just on the fly.
Well, the reason why is because I have this supercut, which is floating out there, which is the big lie from 2000. And our buddy Al Gore, who we heard from earlier, lost that election and we don't have to go into the details, but most people in the world remember hanging Chads, and George W. Bush became president. This is a supercut. It's a 2-minute supercut, but holy crap, when you hear it and compare it to what is being said right now about Trump and the big lie. The big lie is that the elections were rigged and Trump really won the election. Let's go back 22 years in history.
We won that election.
Al Gore won the election.
Al Gore was elected president of the United States. Right. This wasn't counted.
You know it. I know it. They know it. We won that election.
There is overwhelming evidence that George W. Bush did not win this election.
Do you think Republicans stole that election?
In 2000, I wish the United States Supreme Court had let them finish counting the votes.
The Supreme Court denied the actual and accurate counting of the votes of Florida.
If Catherine Harris, Jeb Bush, Jim Baker, and the Supreme Court hadn't tampered with the results, Al Gore would be president.
An election has been stolen, robbed.
It wasn't a fair process. It wasn't a neutral process. It was a process that was rigged against us.
We actually won the last presidential election, folks. They stole the last presidential election.
As we look at our election system, I think it's fair to say that there are many legitimate questions about its accuracy, about its integrity.
How are you going to keep it from us being able to be in a position where you can manipulate the machines, manipulate the records?
In Virginia, when I was governor, I had to replace all the machines.
Too many voters have cast votes on machines that jam or malfunction or suck the votes without a trace.
I kept voting in the Senate race, kept voting for the Democrat. Republican name kept coming up. 3 times that happened.
How many other votes did the computers get wrong?
I brought in some technology experts. They were able to hack into our machines from off-site in about 5 or 6 minutes. And within 4 minutes, they were able to change a vote.
The legitimacy of any president that's elected is going to be impaired unless the American people understand that there has been a full and fair count of all the votes.
We will continue to object to the election procedures until they are corrected.
The objection is in writing, and I don't care that it is not signed by a member of the Senate.
It is our duty to challenge this vote.
It's not as if it's just Republicans who have monkeyed around with elections in the past. Sometimes Democrats have too.
I would be standing here saying this no matter what the outcome of the election.
So that's how I came up with it.
Nice supercut.
Isn't that cool?
It hits the spot.
That's what they did.
Well,
sorry.
The thing that's interesting to me is the Malone going on, and then we've decided that he's, compromised.
Yeah.
Because it brought up a point which is bugging me, which is the picture I ran in the newsletter of Sean Hannity with his little CIA pin. And it's like, okay, well, that's cute. We can all buy a CIA pin from the CIA shop, which they do have. And they have CIA, salt shakers and challenge coins and T-shirts and sweatshirts and hats.
Yep.
Yes. And the little
you can do a tour.
Pin.
You can do a tour.
And you can get a tour. And they get the little pin. But to be wearing a pin as a personality, a pundit, a reporter, a newsman.
Sick.
To be wearing a CIA pin to me is like, it's either saying that he is doing their job for them or something. And it brings me to the point, and it's annoying. And who does he think he is?
Right.
I'm a big buddies with the CIA. It brings me to the Smith-Mundt Act, which has been brought up on the show before.
Yes.
This thing has to be put, I don't care if they've been doing it, even though surreptitiously before. This has to be put back in place because it's obvious that they're screwing with the American public in every way they can. And if Malone was doing the job of the CIA by placing that information there to kind of poison the well, this has to stop. This legislation has to go back into place. We can't propagandize our own people anymore. This has to be put back in place.
Smith-Mundt Act was originally from the early 80s, I think, and it forbid the American government from using any propaganda on its own people. It was repealed, I want to say, in 2013 as a part of the National Defense Authorization Act under President Obama's administration. It was kind of snuck in there, although we all saw it. And the rationale was, well, with the internet, it's impossible. If you put something out on the internet, the Americans might see it. So you might as well just remove the regulation so we can just do it unhampered.
Yeah, that probably, there'd be some sort of a crackpot rationale like that.
No, that was the rationale. That was
crackpot.
They argued it.
Well, we have to go back and re-examine these arguments and who is for it, who is against it. It's got to be put back in place. It's obvious that the American public is being beaten up by this.
Yeah, especially that's a good point. And people don't realize, if you go look, the number of people who think that Tucker Carlson's dad, I think it wasn't he one of the founding members of or one of the main guys in the broadcast board of governors.
It's possible.
Voice of America, kind of like literally the propaganda arm, or kind of old school propaganda arm of the U.S. government.
Yeah.
So, this shit, look at my family. Spooks are everywhere, man. You can't trust anything.
The point is, this has to go back into place. I don't care about the internet or anything else. They have to deal with it because it's obvious that the public is being abused by the intelligence community. And I'll use the community meaning all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Every chance they get. Sometimes it's an experiment. Let's see what happens. Let's see how stupid our people are.
I think they actually call it the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act.
Yeah, well, that would be normal.
Yeah. If you go to bingit.io, you just type in Smith-Mundt, you can get all the articles that we use, and we can probably lead that back to what the rationale was. But that's what I remember. I remember it being, oh no, it's the internet. It makes it very difficult. But it was snuck away. Hey, mainstream media wasn't reporting on it. Why would they?
No. They can, yeah.
Of course not. Of course not. And the propaganda is thick. The propaganda is about Russia. Russia. So, we'll just consider all this to be propaganda.
Tonight, sources from the administration confirming the U.S. State Department is preparing to approve the evacuation of some American diplomats and their families from the embassy in Ukraine as the security situation deteriorates and becomes increasingly unpredictable. Unlike in Afghanistan, embassy staff and families would most likely be flown out on commercial flights. Other Americans have already been advised not to travel to Ukraine, and those in the country will be warned this week to depart.
This is propaganda. This is trying to conjure up last flight from Entebbe. Oh, Afghanistan. Oh, suicide bombers. Scary place. Ukraine. Oh, where's that? Africa? Oh, no. Who knows what's going on? Oh, very, very frightening. Let's talk to Jem Psaki, who has her foot in her mouth a lot these days.
Is there any effort right now to get a handle on how many Americans are in Ukraine? Because I remember with Afghanistan, that was sort of an open question. Is the dynamic different this time?
It's an open question around the world. We don't put a chip in Americans when they go to countries around the world and track their movements. People can register with the State Department.
No, there's literally a chip in your passport, Jem Psaki. Literally a chip in everybody's passport. So kind of.
A chip in Americans when they go to countries around the world and track their movements. People can register with the State Department. That's something they do. Or they may choose not to register. Or there might be people in any country around the world who are dual citizens who haven't lived in or have never lived in the United States. But the State Department would certainly have the number in terms of Americans who have registered with the State Department.
And this clip really shows you what kind of the putting an operation on. This is total intelligence methodology.
Register with the State Department when you float
Fuck
around?
No.
I don't know anybody who has.
Idiot. No. So this is a classic. We'll explain it again. If you want to sound official, pass on an important message, which is propaganda, but you don't want to be held accountable as a news organization or even as a country, what you do is you say, according to the Uganda Times, here's the situation. And then you just report that as truth because, hey, man, it's the Uganda Times. You can't argue with boots on the ground. Times, New York Times, you know it's going to be good reporting because that's Uganda's hometown newspaper. So they're doing it with Russia.
Tonight, the British government going public with this startling accusation, claiming they have intelligence the Russian government is, quote, looking to install a pro-Russian leader in Kiev as it considers whether to invade and occupy Ukraine.
So let's not have our intelligence people say it. Let's just call our buddies over at GCHQ. Hey, can you put out a statement that is the UK even in the region? I mean, they're technically, but are they even threatening to put weapons in like we are? I mean, threatening.
I don't think so.
We just the first U.S. shipment of lethal aid just arrived.
Yeah,
according to NBC, which is what did they send? I don't think they sent any anti-aircraft. 200,000 pounds of lethal aid. What is that?
They do it by the way they
by
sell
the
it.
Pound. That's
how much you got there. What does it weigh?
That's crazy. You're right. That's probably exactly how they do it. Oh man. Yeah. Despite appeals from Ukraine. Oh, that's let's see. What is this? I want to know what's in there. That's
There's
interesting.
A lot of anti-tank weapons. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Estonia will provide Javelin anti-tank weapons, while Latvia and Lithuania are sending Stinger and anti-aircraft missiles. So they're just ratcheting this up.
So we send them to Lithuania. Lithuania doesn't manufacture them.
I don't think so. We send them to Lithuania, I presume.
Yeah, and then Lithuania sends them forward.
Yeah.
They're forwarding. It's just a bunch of forwarding operations.
Yes.
Can you guys send these to those guys? Because we can't send. We've already sent them enough stuff. We've sent them X number of tons.
So
can you send those things to them?
So it does seem like a lot of what's happening, and just keeping with the CIA in Russia, is the CIA and is our doing. And Turkey, as it turns out, Turkey may be the one that's been training the troops, or the 20,000 terrorist brigade, 20,000 man strong terrorist brigade, which started some of the crap in Kazakhstan. And Turkey definitely needs to choose a friend, seeing the lira is dead. I mean, the economy, they've got, what do they have? 20+% inflation. Guys in all kinds of trouble.
Up to 35.
It's crazy. It's like very big issues in Turkey. And it looks like Erdogan has chosen the side of the United States. And this may be the reason. It's all about the Black Sea. Erdogan, at the 2021 NATO meeting, told the Secretary General of NATO, "You are not visible in the Black Sea, and your invisibility in the Black Sea turns it into a Russian lake." And why are they interested? Well, first of all, Turkey has probably the largest coastline of any of the countries in the Black Sea, and they found natural gas off of its coast in the Black Sea, which Turkey wants to use to send to Europe to cut off dependence on Russian gas imports. What do you know? It's about energy once again. Germany just fired their naval chief for saying, hey, we need Russia on our side. You know, we got to have gas and we can't have China. Oh, no, get out of here. Shut up. Wall Street Journal, big article about Germany's reliance.
A clip of that, but I don't have it in here. But
the
guy got fired for just saying the obvious.
Was it from the last show, maybe?
No. It was. I just heard it. It was on Deutsche Welle last night.
Okay, yeah. Let me see. The Wall Street Journal. Everyone's seeing it. Germany's in trouble. They better get a really big mechanical battery. Actually, they do have mechanical batteries. Germany's reliance on Russian gas limits Europe's options in Ukraine crisis. Berlin is vulnerable if the West sanctions Russia over Ukraine and Moscow responds by cutting off exports. Well, all that has to happen now, what they're seemingly aiming for is, we're not going to have any kinetic war. I'd say cyber strike would be enough. Oh, cyber strike, cut them off from the U.S. dollar. That's what they're out there threatening, cutting them off from the U.S. dollar. That's the only thing I'm hearing, unless you've heard other sanctions they've been discussing.
Well, cutting them off from the U.S. dollar is in the banking sector. I would like to. Why don't you tell me, since you're covering this quite closely, what's the point?
Well, you won't like my answer.
Well, I might not, and I might disagree with it, but You think there's a point?
Great Reset. They are out to destroy everything. That's the whole point.
It's rubblizing.
Oh, yes.
Remember that?
Let's see.
It's time to rubbleize. We have a Fletcher clip.
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now. Let's see. We need to bring them back. You're so right.
Rubble on the double.
We got that one. We got.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to rubbleize.
I'm shocked to find out that rubbleization's going on here.
Hey, these clips we're just ready to bring them all back. This is fantastic.
Everything's a cycle.
Oh my goodness. That is so good. What is this Kagan clan rubble? What is this?
Rubble! Brought to you by Clan Kagan.
Yeah, I don't know if the Kagans are doing the operation on our. Well, yeah, I guess it's worldwide. Of course they are. Yeah, I think they want to rubbleize it, but not just some sandy area of the world, Middle East. No, the whole thing.
They're feeling their chops. They did the Middle East. They rubbleized everything.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try some bigger countries, see what happens. And by the way, Russia's not on board with us on any of this stuff. They're pushing back.
Russia could actually be our friend in this, I think. It's just, I'm sorry, Rockefeller lady, that I'm carrying water for Putin. But come on. How stupid are you? So obvious. You know what? I know a lot of Russians who live in America. There's a lot of Chinese who live in America. I like the Russians better. Just going to say it.
The Russians are fun.
The Russians, they know how to party. They got humor. Chinese always encroaching on your space. Because, public space everything's public. It's not your space. It's everyone's space. I'm going to stand right next to you. But even the conditioning that is happening, now in context, it makes more sense. You seen this Tom Hanks video that's promoting the Biden administration?
No.
Oh, my
I might have
goodness.
seen it, but it's something I obviously didn't stick.
Well, you can call stop.
Do you have a copy of it?
Yes, I do. You can call stop whenever you want if it's too boring.
Well, you know me.
Yeah, because there's something wrong with what Tom Hanks is doing in his narration. There's something very wrong. It's throughout the whole video. So you can kind of stop it whenever. But just so you know, it's very inspirational.
For there is always light if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
If only we're brave enough. Brave enough to live through two of the most difficult years many of us can remember. Brave enough to pull ourselves up again and again. America is the home of the brave. It's why we keep getting up, no matter how many times we get knocked down. Like with our economy. It isn't all the way back, but it's getting stronger. We may be entering year 3 of a pandemic none of us wanted or expected, but we're moving.
I was the first person to get the vaccine in the whole country. And now, how many people are vaccinated? Over 200 million, right? That's what keeps me going, that I can feel the change.
Restaurants have opened their doors. Shops and businesses are buzzing again all over the country. More jobs were created in 2021 than in any year in the last 80 years. We are stronger than we were a year ago today.
We're bringing on new drivers. We're expanding. The fear that was there, it's going away. Business is booming.
It's exciting times for the auto industry. Rebuilding our bridges, our roads, our transit systems, and the jobs. That's what this administration has been doing.
From our toughest times, America has always built a brighter future. Yes, we are brave enough to see the light and be the light we need to rebuild this country. We are strong. We are courageous. We are resilient. We are America, land of the brave.
I've long said it's never been a good bet to bet against America. And that's more true today than ever. I've never been more optimistic about America's future. There's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together.
What was wrong?
There was an interesting little switcheroo in there.
Okay. A couple things maybe then. But yeah, what did you notice?
America's always been the home of the brave, the land of the free.
Not a switcheroo.
It's not the land of the brave, and there's no free anything. It was just brave, no freedoms. So you're just denying that, but it was the land of the free and the home of the brave. So, the home of the brave.
No, it's the home of the land, home of the brave. Is it home of the brave, land of the free? And it's by omission.
Land of the brave.
No, he said home of the brave, but it's not the switcheroo.
That was land of the brave.
No, I think it's home of the brave.
Home or land, doesn't matter. They left out free.
Yes, that's the point. Home of the brave, land of the free. That's the point. He kept saying home of the brave. Now, whenever in 57 years, I've never heard home of the brave separated.
Play the end of it again, because I'm pretty sure he said land of the brave.
Okay.
Which it's a minor point. It's not important, but I'll tell you this: if he does say that instead, he's taken free, which should be land of the free, and moved it.
We are brave enough to see the light and be the light we need to rebuild this country. We are strong. We are courageous. We are resilient. We are America, land of the brave.
I've long said it's never been a good bet to bet against America.
Excuse me.
And that's
wow. Okay, great catch, because he says home of the brave in the beginning and then says land of the brave. This is, in 57 years, I've never heard that sentence separated. I've never heard it switched around. That is evil. That is moralistically evil. That's tricky.
Yeah, he's changed the land of the free to land of the brave and left free out.
And then
kicked it to the curb.
And then he switches it and calls it land of the free instead of land of the brave instead of land of the free.
Yeah, that's what I meant. He doesn't use free anywhere in there because we want to get that out of here.
It's land of the slaves.
Free? No, it's got to do with COVID. You got to be free.
You never get. Well, thank you. Just more of my point. They are not done. They want full control. Full control. Ugh. What a bunch of douches. All right, before we take a break, I do have a couple other things. They'll be fun in this context. So we've got the voting thing because we've got to, just kind of sticking with the big lie in the election, and they can't pass the Build Back Better. What are we going to do? And Jen Psaki, just like Al Gore, wants to rile everybody up, go get drunk and go protest and make noise and tell the Republicans they suck.
So my advice to everyone out there who's frustrated, sad, angry, pissed off, feel those emotions,
go to a kickboxing class, have a margarita, do whatever you need to do this weekend, and then wake up on Monday morning, we got to keep fighting. And what that means, Lindsay, is we have to keep talking to members about federal legislation. That's essential. That's something that can be permanent, that can make sure people's rights are protected. But we also need to...
This is Psaki.
Mm-hmm.
Who's she talking to?
Oh, she's just being interviewed. She makes the mistake of doing interviews outside. It's more like personal interest. She was talking to The View. She does interviews.
Oh my God, this is not acceptable.
She's not going to be around long, so savor it while she's still here.
That's something that can be permanent, that can make sure people's rights are protected. But we also need to make sure people are educated in states across the country about what their rights are, how they can vote, when they can vote, how to request an absentee ballot. There's a lot we need to do on that front, and that's going to rely on the energy and the anger of that activism as well.
But I'm glad you picked up on it, because there's a reason why she did that. Because she thinks that she is actually behind the scenes part of the real machine. And she is. She's part of the real machine that is running behind the scenes.
Before I get rid of you, which I'm enjoying you so much today. I really am.
I'm enjoying you too.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
But a little bird told me that you said you might be resigning the job this year. Say it isn't so. Is it true?
I don't know when I'm leaving. This is an honor and a privilege, and I love working for President Biden every single day.
Whoops.
Wow.
What do you think? Now, she did work for Obama. I think she was the airplane secretary.
No, she was the Defense Department girl. She was the one that was always getting into the little beefs with Matt.
Didn't she? But I thought at one point she did do something for.
Well, maybe it was
Obama.
State Department.
No, I thought she was state. Yeah, she definitely state.
But that was under Obama,
right? But I think she was actually Obama's. She was John Kerry's press secretary for his 2004 campaign. Then 2005 to 2006, she was communications director for Representative Joseph Crowley. And then press secretary for the Democratic Congressional Committee. So that's where she got her insider chops. And then she was, she was deputy press secretary for Obama.
Yeah. Yeah, she'd get into beefs with Matt.
Yeah.
And that was the same job Newland had.
Right.
When she was kind of thin.
Are you body shaming?
No, I'm just saying. Not body shaming. She's who she is.
That's right. She can love who she wants to love. So we have that happening. And then, all right, this is the political part that really just blew me away. We have CNN. So what did CNN for years reported on, but it was really the Washington Post who tracked it, all of President Trump's lies. His lies. He's told, how many lies was it? Do you remember? It wasn't some astronomical amount.
It was in the 14,000s.
It's 14,000 lies.
Amounted to it's a nice day today. No, he's lying. It's raining.
He's a liar. It's not a nice day unless you like rain. So they decide to suddenly get some religion into them, and they're going to treat President Biden the same way they treated President Trump when it comes to inaccuracy. And, well, I don't know if they will say it's lies, but here's the setup.
It doesn't compare at all. I don't think, frankly, that there's any comparison in terms of frequency or egregiousness of dishonesty between Donald Trump and anyone, Republican or Democratic, in Washington life.
Nice tell.
In terms of frequency, Biden's number of false claims in year one was somewhere in the dozens. You could add probably dozens more if you counted misleading or lacking in context claims. Trump was over 1,000 false claims in year one and was over 3,000 false claims in year two. So there's no comparison. But that said, I don't think that means we wave Biden's away, say they don't matter. I think all false claims from the president matter. All these facts matter. And we can't let the previous presidency of Donald Trump set the bar so low for every subsequent president that the bar just doesn't exist anymore.
So my ears perked up. Like, CNN? Do you think this is because Malone is going to buy them through Discovery, that they're going to turn like journalists all of a sudden? Is this auditioning or is there something else going on?
No, you're right. The first thing you said.
Which is?
Malone. It's all Malone.
Well, let's get into...
By the way, when we say Malone, we're talking about John Malone. The
chairman, CEO of Discovery Networks that own a lot.
Yeah, he's
and they're buying Warner.
Media mogul.
They're buying Warner Brothers or Time Warner?
Yeah.
Will that go through? Isn't there some? Oh, that will? Cool. No, it's one less douchebag to focus on. But hold on a second, because this is pretty good. So
Malone, you got to remember, was a supporter of Trump.
Oh, well, that explains it. And it explained this kid, whoever this is some reporter he's not even in the studio. He has to come in from a webcam. He's a CNN political correspondent. I've never seen the guy before. So, there you go. Here's more propaganda. Interesting.
Well, I don't think these guys know what a supporter of Trump he was. Malone was big. I think he paid for the inauguration of in its first election. I think Malone was one of the main guys who bought that celebration.
Holy crap! I didn't know any of that. Okay,
yeah,
well maybe we did, but yeah, excellent.
Yeah, we knew it. And Malone was he's a Republican, and these guys, that kind of audition doesn't fly because Malone knows about the lie malarkey. And so that guy's
Did you just use malarkey as a term?
Yeah, I'm using malarkey from now on.
Let's listen to the deconstruction of the president's speech, according to this CNN kid. The 2 hour, the longest press conference in history, filled with inaccuracies and, well, mistruths.
Yeah, he made false claims about a variety of important topics, from Afghanistan to the economy to the COVID-19 pandemic, immigration, made one on ESPN in a high-profile interview about the new Georgia voting law. I think some of the Afghanistan ones were among the most egregious. He said in an interview that he opposed that war from the beginning. He did not, although he eventually turned against it. He said that, what interest does the U.S. have in Afghanistan with al-Qaeda gone? Al-Qaeda is certainly degraded in Afghanistan, but it certainly was not gone at the time. On the economy, he repeatedly misstated what experts had projected about his own plan. So, for example, he repeated that the firm Moody's Analytics said that passing his American jobs plan would produce 16 million additional jobs. Well, either he was misreading or misstating what Moody's said. It was actually a projection of 2.7 million additional jobs. So a big difference. So we had a number of those. And then again, immigration, voting laws, sometimes gun laws. He made false claims about a variety of things.
So that's just the factual stuff that actually matters. But he spent twice as much time on all the lies. I mean, exaggerations, personal enhancements that our president has told throughout the years. And he even rolled out a clip to accentuate it.
To me, I mean, this is subjective, but to me, the most memorable ones were often the most trivial ones. The ones where he would depart from his text and invent or embellish something about his own past. And we saw that last week, where in a voting rights speech in Georgia, he claimed in passing that he had been arrested. He suggested in the context of the civil rights movement. There is some record, some evidence of him participating in some civil rights activities back in his youth, but no record of any arrest. He said a couple times that he used to drive an 18-wheeler or a big truck. He told this to at a Mack Trucks facility to students studying truck maintenance. There's no evidence he ever did that, although he did once have a part-time job driving a school bus. And then he also made a couple to Jewish leaders in the Jewish community while trying to emphasize his connection to that community. Listen to something he said about his relationship with the late Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir.
I have known every prime minister well since Golda Meir, including Golda Meir. And
well done, Joe.
During the 6-Day War, I had an opportunity she invited me to come over because I was going to be the liaison between she and the Egyptians about the Suez and so on and so forth.
So there are two things wrong with this. One, he actually met with Meir weeks before the Yom Kippur War in 1973, not during the 6-Day War in 1967. More importantly, there is no evidence that this senior prime minister of Israel ever had any intention of using a 30-year-old rookie U.S. senator who had never been to Israel before and who the Israeli government thought of as inexperienced as some sort of regional political liaison with a key adversary. So yes, that's a story about something that happened decades ago. Yes, it's peripheral, to policy matters, but it's fascinating to me because the president, chose to bring this up, and ended up, hurting his reputation for accuracy, hurting his credibility, rather than achieving whatever.
What reputation for accuracy?
Well,
he's hurting his reputation he has a reputation for accuracy? In what world?
Yeah, it's kind of
that's a piece of propaganda right in there.
Right, but they're breaking it down. They're using propaganda to break down the propaganda. There's something going on. You know what I'm expecting next from CNN? Wait for it. Hunter Biden's laptop. These guys are up to something.
Well, it's Malone.
Story about something that happened decades ago. Yes, is peripheral, to policy matters, but it's fascinating to me because the president, chose to bring this up, and ended up, hurting his reputation for accuracy, hurting his credibility, rather than achieving whatever aim he had by bringing it up in the first place.
You could also interpret it as hurting his reputation for accuracy, as in he wasn't accurate, therefore he hurts his reputation, not necessarily that he has a reputation for being accurate.
No, that's not the way it would read in the subconscious. There's no way.
Okay.
He has obviously a reputation for accuracy. He just said so. I don't know that he does. The thing. So no joke. So
poor kids can do as well as white kids.
I was doing some research on the 17 Nobel Prize laureates that said his Build Back Better scheme would stop inflation and all the rest of it.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah. So the thing about it is, you look into it, the 17 Nobel laureates, which are all professors in various universities around the country in economics, and it's a group of them, and they're all kind of socialists. And they said they not only think this would be a good thing to pass, but they encourage, as part of this, by the way, he never mentions this, they encourage the $2.7 trillion in increased taxes that need to be levied on the public.
Oh, that's taxes?
Yeah, $2.7 trillion in taxes that are necessary to pay for this bill, and it needs to be the rich is I think the way they summarize.
I was going to say, because we were promised we wouldn't pay a dime under 400,000.
It pays for itself according to Biden. But I'm telling you, these 17 Nobel laureates have, as part of their approval, which is true, this encouragement to nick the rich for $2.7 trillion.
Yeah. Exactly. That's all you can really do is just snicker. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And are these economists, these Nobel laureates?
Yeah. No, they're all mostly professors.
So is Krugman one of them? Isn't he the Nobel laureate?
No, curiously, he's not on the list.
What? What's up with that?
I was surprised myself. That's what I was looking for.
No,
that's
interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
He didn't it was probably some obligation to the New York Times. He couldn't sign it. I'm sure he wanted to.
All right.
Or the CIA, one of the two told him not to do it. All right. I do have some little screwball snippet if you want to hear about the latest.
Yeah, just before we take a break, sure.
Okay, it's a two-parter. This is sleep equity.
Oh, God. They won't leave me alone, will they?
But what about sleep? Lauren Whitehurst says that should be our top priority. She's an assistant professor at the University of Kentucky, and she researches the cognitive effects of sleep with a focus on what she calls sleep equity. And she's with us now. Lauren, welcome.
Hello. Thank you, Sasha.
More than a third of adults in the United States struggle with sleep issues. That's according to the CDC. What is it that keeps us from getting a good night's sleep?
I think we can boil it down to a couple of different things. One is interpersonal, kind of just what we do, right? Maybe we don't value our sleep as high as we value other things in our lives. Other things are kind of external factors, things that act on us, our work schedule, when we have to get up, when we have to be at work. Sometimes it's caregiving responsibilities, our children not sleeping through the night. Other things are societal factors, things outside of our control, kind of the ways in which our society values our productivity versus what our sleep needs actually are.
And what about people who end up scrolling Twitter before they go to bed, or they have that blue glow? I always hear that if you do that right before you go to bed, you're probably overstimulating yourself. It's going to affect your sleep.
Yes, having access to light all the time is not great for our body's systems that regulate our sleep. There's some new science coming out that's really trying to peel apart when is it helpful to use some of the tools that our phones give us access to, and when is it not? When is it going to create kind of greater or exacerbate some of the sleep problems that you mentioned at the top?
There are also people who miss out on sleep more than others because of life and socioeconomic factors. You and your colleagues have a term for this. It's sleep equity.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, I'm ready. You've set me up. I'm ready for it.
Well, I could end it here and not play the second
No.
and just tell you it's all blamed on white supremacy.
No.
But they can't quite bring themselves to it, but they do bring themselves around to nearly saying that.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, I really think about sleep equity.
Yeah,
I really think about sleep equity as an access issue. What we find in society is that caregiving roles or shift work, working when your body would...
Great. It's a sleep access issue. I got to hear this again. That is so cool.
As an access issue.
An access. John, do you have enough access to sleep?
Yeah.
What we find in society is that caregiving roles or shift works, working when your body would rather be sleeping, disproportionately falls on people of color, Black people, other people of
BIPOC.
color. And that creates this kind of disparity in sleep that's more than just a difference, more than just something, your sleep is different than someone else's. This is more of a systematic difference that we find. And that becomes a disparity.
I want to read something from your university research webpage. It's about your research interest. And I'll read it slowly so people can absorb this. You say that you're interested in how, quote, the lack of access to restorative sleep can play a role in creating or exacerbating disparities in cognitive health for communities historically underserved.
Do you have any details on the guest on the show? Because this sounds like someone who went to college, got a degree in...
She's a professor at Kentucky.
There you go. She has a degree, and she just had to come up with something. I know. I'll figure out how sleep can be racist. BIPOC.
Sleep is racist. You don't have to play any more of the clip.
No. Are you kidding me? Please let me finish.
Wait.
Please.
I'll mention a couple of things. Do you know anyone who's ever worked shift work?
Yes, I've worked shift work. You've worked shift work.
Exactly.
Everyone's worked shift work. My wife works shift work. What the heck?
When I was working shift work at Union Oil, there was like probably one in the group of maybe 25 people. There's like one Mexican, one Black guy. She's making it sound like only these poor blacks and the BIPOCs are the only ones working shift work and is hurting them. White supremacy. Anyway, continue to play the rest.
Thank you.
For communities historically underserved by science and medicine.
Underserved by science and medicine historically? What kind of racist piece of crap country are we?
How does sleep loss worsen existing health disparities in certain groups of people?
You know, that's something that has really taken off, this idea of sleep equity.
Sorry.
Or sleep as the kind of original issue in a lot of other kind of health concerns that we see has really taken off in the last, 30 years or so. For a long time, we knew that sleep problems happened alongside other health conditions. Maybe if you had heart conditions, or maybe if you had some other diabetes, other types of health issues, maybe your sleep was impacted too. What we're finding now is that sometimes sleep actually predates those health issues. And if we can start to think about or target the sleep issue first, we can actually start to solve some of these other health disparities where we find that Black individuals or Hispanic individuals suffer from diabetes and other health conditions at higher rates than other white people in the population.
And poor sleep might be worsening those problems?
So hold on. Did they have a resolution or a solution or an idea? Do we give all BIPOCs? Do we give them some sleeping pills or some weed or some gummies?
It went on for hours.
You know, over the weekend we had some conversations about the BIPOC, which, you know, they're still pushing this, trying to make this the new black instead of the black and brown community, or, you know, this is certainly not meant to be American descendants of slavery, because it just means black indigenous people of color, which is, it's so racist. It's not a single black indigenous person of color I know who likes that. Sorry,
not.
And it is
BIPOC over there.
It is rampant in the entertainment industry. It is rampant in the medical industry. You cannot hire a white man. No. BIPOC. There is no hiring of white men. Barely of white women.
Largely true at the moment.
Yes. And everyone who participates in that, you're going to see what that results in.
Well, I don't know what it's going to result in, except poor quality people. You know, people that are not qualified is what they're doing.
Air traffic control is applying the BIPOC hiring methodology. All of their new recruits have to be BIPOC. Somewhere Tupac is rolling over in his grave. It's like, hey man, keep it a Tupac. Who had to give the BIPOC?
BIPOC
didn't come out right.
What about 3POC? No, it didn't. I'm trying to
sleep equity. My goodness, we've gone off the rails. Okay, I don't know if I can really top it, but just to make us all feel good, the NPR is not the only. Where is it coming from? Let's go to Michigan. Let's go to one of our favorite little meetings, a school board meeting. Here's a mom who has a concern.
But our community needs to understand that the agenda that is being pushed through our schools is just my opinion, but somewhat nefarious when it comes to some of the activities. It was addressed by a child a couple months ago that they are put in an environment where there are kids that identify as a furry, a cat or a dog, whatever. And so yesterday I heard that at least one of our schools in our town has in one of the unisex bathrooms, a litter box for the kids that identify as cats. And I am really disturbed by that, and I will do some more investigation on that. I know what's going on nationwide. I know it is. It's part of the agenda that's being pushed. I don't even want to understand it, but I think that people need to be aware of it, because I am really upset as a parent that my child is put in an environment like that. And you know, I'm all for creativity and imagination, but when someone lives in a fantasy world and expects other people to go along with it, I have a problem with that.
Dude.
That's a great clip.
That's so. I mean, we have furries who are producers of the show. We got no problem with that.
Sure,
we love you, furries. We got our trans women. We got everything.
Do they expect one of the kids to be pooping in that thing?
Well, I'm thinking this may be a potential exit strategy. Where we can have kitty litter, you know, approved
for people, for furries,
furry litter, which will be approved for children. You know, we'll have it all organically tested, make sure no one's allergic to it, and you know, we can actually have a contract to
EU standards.
EU standards of kitty litter. Yeah, I'm kind of digging this, but I can see where parents might be concerned. Might have some issue. Oh my goodness. Life is great.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And we do have a few people to thank for show 1419, which is I don't know, it doesn't mean much, but Sir Cal came in from Northville, Michigan for $161.80.
This is lavenderblossoms.org. Do you have any note? No, just thank you for your words.
Really.
Thanks, Sir Cal.
Dakota Walker, birthday in Boise, Idaho, 12802. A belated birthday donation.
Dakota.
Caught the coof.
Yeah, caught the coof. Missed my annual birthday donation. Well, that sucks. Yeah, well, we'll make up for you.
Sir Allen of Midlothian in Midlothian, Virginia, 12345.
That's his annual donation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which reminds me, you know what? We had our lieutenant colonel down in San Diego that used to give an annual donation, and I have not heard from him for over a year.
I hope he's okay.
I hope he's okay, because he was in the hospital for a while. Bill Durkin in Greenville, South Carolina, 12345, a birthday. Ian Field, 100. Rick Jansen in Round Rock, Texas, 100. Matthew Smith, 9999 from North Royalton, Ohio. And Sir Kevin McLaughlin, Duke, we hear from him, Duke of Luna, lover of America and lover of boobs.
Hold on. Boob, 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 boob. Yeah. We found it.
8008. Sir Bebop, Knight of the Frozen Tundra, New Brighton, Minnesota, nuts, 5678. Sir Michael Anthony in New York City, 5678. David Pete.
Oh, that's our producer who got thrown in jail. He got thrown in jail again in New York. This time he's at the American Museum of Natural History in Manhattan.
No, he's floating around.
He's protesting. He's protesting about the mandates. Good on you, Sir Michael Anthony.
We're on your side.
Yes.
David Pete, $55 in Decatur, Texas. Jeffrey Fife in Oakley, California, out in East Contra Costa County, 5150. Forrest Martin, 5005. Alex Delgado in Aptos, California. He donates 50, and the following people are all $50 donors, name and location only. Julian Robbins, who's also in Aptos. Curiously, you two should get together.
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth, probably living together. Elizabeth Miller in Wake Forest, North Carolina. Daniel LeBoy in Bath, Michigan. Sean Overman in Pleasant Hill, California. Lucas Deaton in Dayton. I always say that. Audra Azuri in McMurray, Pennsylvania. William Jones in Cameron Park, California. Jill Presnell in Wichita, Kansas. Sir Patrick Maycomb in New York City. And last but not least, Leanne Shipley in Covington, Washington. Those are our producers, well-wishers, the supporters for show 1419. I want to thank each and every one of them. Very short today on donations. In fact, the whole group of everybody, including executive producers, is only 33, which is the magic number, but doesn't do us any good.
Sean Overman did ask for his donation of $50 to be credited for Luke Vox. That's his 4-year-old son who fights the good fight with us. De-douche him.
You've been de-douched.
And thanks to everyone who came in under $50, typically for anonymity, but there's a lot of different subscriptions you can get in on. So please go to Dvorak.org/NA to find out what you can do there. We have a couple other notes. This was the back office rings note.
Oh, yes. Yeah, this needs to be read.
The resupply of the night rings are not due to arrive until late April.
Then
will be shipping is available until the re-up arrives. The supplier has produced and shipped like clockwork for 10 plus years until now. Maybe it's due to global warming or bad weed. Still not shipping to Australia because of all the illustrious douche Dan Andrews. That's right. We can't get anything into Australia.
No.
It's so weird.
If you're an Australian night, you're going to have to wait probably a year.
Ugh. So we're very sorry about that. And again, thank you all very much for supporting the best podcast in the universe.
Dvorak.org/NA.
How about a nice goat karma for everybody?
You've got karma.
It's really interesting. All lists have been short. Short on the executive producers, short on the regular production donations, and even the birthday list is short. It's like something happened, some kind of glitch in the matrix. So we say happy birthday to Dakota Walker, who turned 39 on the 13th of January. And Bill Durkin says happy birthday to his twin sister and his nephew Patrick and himself, apparently all celebrating tomorrow on January 24th. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. No nights, no title changes. That leaves us with the meetups.
No agenda meetups.
That's right, the No Agenda meetups where community can be found. Everyone's looking for community. You've got one. It's built right into the show. And we have the producer-organized meetups done through noagendameetups.com. It's just great to go hang out with people and just have a community. No matter really what you're doing, it's just being near people. It works. We don't have any audio reports. We did get a meetup report from Colorado Springs, the local 719 and cat sitting meetup. This is Cheryl and Mike, and they say, who can say that when visiting Colorado Springs, they attended not one but two meetup events. Mike and I had the pleasure of attending the local 719 Thursday night. What a great group of comrades. Andrew, Esther, and Kirk, to name a few. Good time. At our cat-sitting meetup in Colorado, we feel truly blessed to have met Elise and Lincoln, who traveled 2 hours to the meetup. This is a testament to the power of the No Agenda family, who had such a great time, along with Andrew, who checked in as well. It's good for the soul to meet up. We've always had the best time ever. Please add Elise to the birthday list for Sunday, January 23rd. Did we have her there? Yes. Did we have her on there? Well, there you go. You just got added. And that's from Cheryl and Mike. Thank you very much. Here's what's coming up today. We have the Stop the Karen DC meetup. Your illustrious host, Roger Roundy, famous from All Arts Everywheres, is organizing the Unorthodox meetup. Go to noagendameetups.com for details. You're probably already there. If you aren't, then you might have missed it. You can still head to the first annual Connecticut Super Spreader event. It may be going on at Bad Sons Beer Company in Derby, Connecticut. Or the Crossroads of America ITM Tribal Gathering, 3 o'clock at the Indiana City Brewing Company. Starts in just a couple of minutes. That'll be in an hour from now, Indianapolis, Indiana. Then we have the Breck meetup on Monday the 24th. Shred the Gnar, 7 o'clock Mountain Time, Gold Pan Saloon in Breckenridge, Colorado. And on Tuesday, the Millennial Mel's birthday bash. Hey, where's my invite? Oh, it's in Beaverton, Oregon. And no wonder. This is our very own Millennial Mel. Sings her ass off. That will be at the Ex Novo Brewing Company in Beaverton, Oregon.
She was in Marin or something.
She was traveling around. Yeah, I guess she went back. She dumped the boyfriend. Well, that just didn't work out, and she's looking. Maybe she's back to try her fortune in Oregon. She got some chops, that's for sure. Millennial Mel. Yes, so I presume she'll be celebrating, and she's not on the list. So I'll just say happy birthday in advance, Millennial Mel. And we have a lot of meetups that are still ahead. I was going to say something. I can't remember. There was some other thing about the meetups that was happening. It'll come to me. This is the No Agenda meetups. If you've never been to one, just give it a shot. There's one almost anywhere in the world. Every week something is happening. Find out where at noagendameetups.com. You can search easily. And if there's not one near you, all you need is just the location and put it on the map. Organize one yourself. It's just like a party.
Sometimes you want to go hang out with all the nights and days. You want to be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You want to be where everybody feels the same. It's like a party.
Yowzers. Let's see.
No ISOs from me.
None?
So you get the win.
Oh, I don't. Okay, I only have 2.
Was that a goat noise?
What was that?
I'll play it again.
Was that a goat noise?
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Was that a goat noise? I know. This has got to be it then. It's the only other one.
Tickling the amygdala.
What was it?
Tickling the amygdala.
Oh. Wow.
I know. You said, wow. What are we going to do?
I said, wow.
You
but
said,
wow.
wow.
Oh, wow.
What are we going to do?
Well, we could pull something from the archives. There's tons.
Let me see. Well, we have this. We have always a winner.
Woo!
We got that one. We got.
Whoa! Hang on, guys.
We just used that.
You did use that. Maybe we want to just use the whoa. It got the right response out of you.
Woo!
I mean, that's
good.
kind of good. I like that.
It should be. I like to hear it a little louder, but
louder. It's already quite jacked. Oh, hold on. Hold on, man. I'm going to jack you up. Hold on. Let me normalize. Okay. Normalizing.
Woo!
Okay. It can't be any louder than that. It's already distorted.
So.
Okay. Anything else for the...
Got a report. I think one of the reasons we got low donations is because if you notice, there's nobody from North Carolina. Well, there was Concord, North Carolina, of our boobs lover.
Did we have any checks?
No, the checks were scant. Same thing.
Oh, I have a screwball clip for you.
Okay,
I got a screwball clip. Yeah, because I'm sick and tired of this. I'm so sick. This is such a Gwyneth Paltrow and her goop.
I thought she gave up on that company.
Oh, my goodness. She's still... All she does is come up with, oh, this is so funny. I can do something political, do something for good, and I can make it... So now we had to celebrate the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. Because, I just want to bring honest, good products to my customers, to women everywhere. That's what it's about. That's really what I'm trying to do. I'm Gwyneth Paltrow.
Didn't she do a vagina candle or something?
Hello.
The candle is in honor of the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. We made a candle called Hands Off My Vagina.
Oh, yes. Very good. Hands up.
It's edgy, but that's exactly gets people talking and gets people, to
on shit shows like yours.
Yeah, I think we are very pro woman at Goop, obviously, and we really do believe that
that no one should touch a woman's vagina.
Women should have agency to make whatever choice they want to make in their lives in any area. And so we were happy to be able to partner with the ACLU and do this.
And the ACLU was in on the vagina candle.
It's really exciting.
What did they pay for it? Did they help with the name, with the branding?
What has the ACLU got to do with it? These guys are off the rails.
They're
you
making
spotted this years ago because you used to give them money.
Oh yeah,
one day,
Oh yeah.
You got one plea, and then you said, "I'm not what."
Yeah,
they were off the rails.
They was like,
guys.
"Come protest." ACLU.
Come protest.
Let me see if they have anything about a vagina. I'm going to play the rest of this horrible clip from the Tonight Show while I look up the ACLU's exact involvement in this vagina candle.
How do you come up with new products? You just write them all down? Do you record them on your phone in the middle of the night? And you go like, oh, this could be an idea or this could be something.
I usually get them sort of in a lightning flash, like I did with this candle. I was having a dinner one night and we were talking about freedoms in this country. And,
freedoms.
It just sort of hit me. I was like, oh, I would love to make a candle like that. And sometimes they come from collaboration with the team, and our team can come up with like the funniest, cleverest names for products. And so it's a great process, to be able to have that creative freedom at work and to do things will be edgy and like move culture forward and get people talking and for a good cause. So we love it.
For a good cause. It went on.
No, it's to move culture forward.
Yes. Culture has to move forward. I'm sorry. You are right. Move culture forward. I don't see them promoting it. News, maybe under the news thing. I would be embarrassed if I was them. So apparently it benefits the ACLU's Women's Rights Project. Oh, here we go. Mm-hmm. Oh, abortion is essential. Okay, this is it. ACLU. Here we go. We testify. Oh, goodness. There's so many different groups here. Not saying that's they can't believe in whatever's important, but come on with your vagina candle. I wonder what it smells like.
I wonder what it's shaped like.
Well, it's just a regular candle, John. All right, after that, I think that's everything I got.
These softballs. Anyway, softballs.
I didn't know what to do. I mean, you just nailed it. I can't do anything.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I don't think I only had this. I had the dumb dog drone.
Okay, let's
story.
play this.
Okay.
Inflation discussion. This is something we should all know. What's causing inflation? Because we really need to know this.
Where's this from?
NPR, I believe.
Good.
Two of the main factors that affect inflation are labor and energy. That's according to an online discussion led by experts at the Heritage Foundation on Tuesday. Rachel Gressler, a research fellow in economics, budget, and entitlements, said the high inflation curve began during the pandemic when policymakers issued the $600 unemployment insurance payments. That resulted in 2/3 of unemployed workers collecting more money by not working. She also said 4.3 million workers have quit their jobs on average per month in the last 4 months.
Replacing workers is extremely costly. It, on average, takes about 6 to 9 months worth of a worker's salary to have the cost of finding a new worker and training them. So if you look at the quits this year compared to last year, employers have had to replace about 10 million additional workers. When you do the math, that increased their costs by about 3 to 4%, and there's no new value added to that. It's just a higher cost. So, of course, they're having to pass that on to customers.
Energy is also a critical factor when it comes to inflation. Katie Tubb, a senior policy analyst for energy and environmental issues, said that in 2020, energy consumption was down 7% due to COVID-19 policy responses. And those in the conventional energy industry have a very uncertain future under the Biden administration.
The administration has used basically every regulatory tool in the toolbox to attack coal, oil, and natural gas, whether you're talking about the financing side of this, the production, or the consumption side of it. And so if you're in those industries, I don't know why you would want to spend millions of dollars investing in workers and infrastructure when this administration has said you have no future in this country.
This is not NPR, obviously.
No.
It was NTD, New Tang Dynasty.
I just love the Brookings Institution has determined all those things are what it makes inflation, and not one word about inflating the money supply.
Yeah, they could have dropped that in there.
I think they could have dropped that in. Wasn't that the original way back when we understood that we print money at 2% a year? That's what inflation was? Wasn't that
the problem
what
is
it was?
during the quantitative easing period, which was supposed to be very hyperinflationary, was not. It was almost deflationary. So that those old theories are out the window.
No, but I'm just looking at the pure definition. Back in the 70s when we were looking at inflation, I remember my parents talking about inflation, about the government printing too much.
Yeah, I knew the same thing. It was an old rule. That's why everybody and their sister was predicting hyperinflation during the quantitative easing era, because they were using those old rules, and it never happened.
No, of course not. Because we shut down the economy. This is my entire theory.
I'm talking about 2009. We didn't shut
down
the economy.
No. 2009, we shoved it all under the rug, and now it's coming to roost. That's what I think. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? But I know this. Nick the Rat will be live right after the show on noagendastream.com. Hang in the troll room. John, we might want to hang around. He's going to deconstruct our episode, smoke weed, and take calls.
So that will probably sounds a little like a throwback to an old show we once remembered.
Yo Agenda?
Yo Agenda.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Although those guys didn't smoke weed, I'm sure of it.
No, quite sure. End of show mixes Rolando Gonzalez and Tidewater Architects. Appreciate their work. And we return in just 3 short days. Having dinner with the former New York banker on Monday, so I might have stories. I'll ask him about the pending collapse. Coming to you from the heart of the Texas Hill Country here in FEMA Region Number 6 in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday with another hour of deconstruction just for you. Remember, we do need your support, so do it. Go to Dvorak.org/NA. See you on Thursday, everybody. Until then, adios, mofos! And such.
teaching students that our own mental health is much less important than making triple vaccinated adults feel safe. Thank you for teaching me that even the most minute risk is not worth taking. Life is best when you take the path of least resistance, with no chance of failure and definitely no chance of catching a cold. Thank you for allowing me to experience the anxiety associated with never seeing facial expressions. Thank you for teaching us that we should never question authority or think critically, but instead we should follow whatever the people in charge tell us to do. I realize now that thinking for yourself is overrated and not really necessary when you can just make decisions based on fear. Thank you for pushing your irrational fears and anxieties on me, because I didn't already have enough to worry about. Obedience is best. Masks work. Thank you for teaching me that being a morally superior person only requires that I cover my face for 8 hours a day, and that the most morally superior people wear 2 masks or even 3 masks. Thank you for staying silent about masking despite the fact that COVID has a very high survival rate in kids my age. Who needs data anyway, though? We all know that it will never be safe to see anyone's face ever again.
This morning, the Cabinet concluded that because of the extraordinary booster campaign, together with the way the public have responded to the Plan B measures, we can return to Plan A in England and allow Plan B regulations to expire.
And there was much rejoicing.
As a result, from the start of Thursday next week, mandatory certification will end.
And there was much rejoicing.
Organisations can, of course, choose to use the NHS COVID pass voluntarily, but we will end the compulsory use of COVID safety certification in England.
And there was much rejoicing.
From now on, the government is no longer asking people to work from home.
And there was much rejoicing.
The government will no longer mandate the wearing of face masks. We will no longer require face masks in classrooms, and the Department for Education will shortly remove national guidance on their use in communal areas.
And there was much rejoicing.
The best podcast in the universe. Dvorak.org/NA. Woo!